20-yard line with Stan Gelbaugh at quarterback. And 3 weeks ago against the Raiders, Gelbaugh 17 of 41, 238 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. The Raiders won that contest 19-0. Joining him in the backfield, Gelbaugh, of course, Warren, John L. will be there, Lewis Clark, Tommy Kane, and Ron Heller, the tight end. And the offensive line of Roberts, Hunter, Toffelmeyer, Drills is starting, and Hitchcock. And the Seahawks come out throwing, and the pass is complete to Chris Warren. Warren has been the true bright spot. He fumbles at the end of the play. And the officials say it will be second down at the 27-yard line.
Chris Warren, just a flat route coming out. Winston Moss comes over to make the tackle right at the last minute. Harrison collides when the ball comes out, and lucky for him, right where he fell down was on top of the ball. A little bit of a break there for the Seahawks.
Reaching back, and he covers it. And it is second down and 3 at the 27-yard line. And he's going to pick up the first down. Defensively for the Raiders, it will be Howie Long, Willie Broughton, Nolan Harrison, Greg Townsend, and then Wallace, Ellison, and Moss are the 3 linebackers. In the secondary, McDaniel, Washington, Lott, and Anderson. And Seattle with a first down at their own 33-yard line. Opening drive of the ball game. And Gelbaugh again throwing on first down. He goes to the far side, and the pass is incomplete. It's going to John L. Williams. Aaron Wallace had the coverage. It'll be second down and 10.
Good coverage in the secondary by the Los Angeles Raiders. Of course, they're known as a pass rushing team, but give credit to the offensive line for the Seahawks on that one. They did a good job holding people out. Gelbaugh just couldn't find anybody open.
The Seahawk offense has been sputtering and spitting and trying to get started, and they simply have not been able to get anything going. One of the reasons because of their offensive line with players in and out all the time. Almost a different offensive line every ball game.
Well, and also the fact that you're playing your third quarterback. That doesn't help either. For an offense that's averaging 5.9 points a game, you know, they definitely have to do something to jumpstart it.
And here's John L. Williams. And he's going to go to the 38-yard line. He'll pick up about 5. It's going to be third down and 5. Winston Moss makes the tackle.
One of the offensive linemen you mentioned, Charlie, is their first-round pick at left tackle, Ray Roberts. Watch Greg Townsend get off maybe a little bit quick, but thankfully it's a draw play, and all Roberts has to do is push him out of the way. That's a little bit of a mismatch size-wise, but look for that to be an issue here on third down when he will be over the likes of both Townsend and Anthony Smith, the man who had 4 sacks against the Seahawks the first time they played.
James Jones comes into the offense, as does Rob Thomas. And it's third down. Gelbaugh sprinting back. And the pass is incomplete. The way he was coming out, I thought he wanted to set up a screen, but he didn't have an opportunity because Howie Long was just a step behind him.
And Howie Long is somebody this year who has reasserted himself. This is the man that over the last couple of years, quite frankly, had been getting by on reputation, some of his peers felt. He is not fooled by the play-action pass and really shows that he can still run. Look at that. Almost gets the sack, but Gelbaugh does a nice 360 to get out of the way. Howie Long, 6.5 sacks coming into this game. A definite force still at age 32 for the Silver and Black.
So Rick Tootin will be kicking. Tim Brown is the return man. Oh, he gets a good one off. Brown takes it back at the 9-yard line. He's out to the 20 and returns to the 23-yard line. We'll step aside for a moment. We have no score. We're in the Coliseum in Los Angeles, but hold it. We have a flag at the 40-yard line. 53 yards on the kick by Rick Tootin. A 14-yard return by Tim Brown, and now we'll check out the flag.
Personal foul on Seattle, number 94. Blow to the head.
It's on Rod Stevens, the backup middle linebacker.
Will penalize half the distance to the goal line.
All right, now we'll step aside. We have no score. The Seahawks and the Raiders. This is a scene from Super Bowl 15. This is the first Super Bowl that the Raiders won when Tom Flores was the head coach. Tom Flores, of course, the head coach when they won 2 Super Bowls, and he is now the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and this is before the ball game today. You saw him in the background of that shot.
Interesting. I was going to say, Charlie, interestingly enough, when we talked with him yesterday, he wasn't all that melancholy about the reunion here.
No.
I thought that, it would have been a big deal, but he did make an interesting point, which I thought when he looked us in the eye and said, we did have a couple of pretty good games here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we did, Tom.
Yeah, but I thought it would be like a homecoming, something that he would look forward to, the return of the prodigal son. And he said, no, not at all. He said, maybe if we were playing better.
That's right.
And maybe if they were playing better. He said, but we were both actually struggling.
If both teams were 7-2, I'm sure that the magnitude of the game would have been much more intense. We should mention here that Dick Hancock a little bit confused there on the officials. The penalty, of course, against Seattle, not against the Raiders. And so they're at the 38 instead of halfway to the goal line, as he mentioned.
And Schrader opens up, throwing far side, first down. Pass is complete at the 45-yard line of Seattle. He goes to Willie Galt, and he picks up 17 yards on the play. Schrader at quarterback with Smith and Dickerson the running backs. Willie Galt and Tim Brown the wide receivers. Ethan Horton is the tight end. The big change in that offensive line is Max Montoya, who'd been bothered by the knee injury since the second game of the season. He's back in at right guard, and the Raiders say that could well be the missing piece of the puzzle. So he is back. First down, Raiders. And we have flag.
Well, he's back, and so is the right side of the offensive line. I moved a little bit too quick. When you mentioned that, Charlie, Al Locasal, executive assistant for the Los Angeles Raiders.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's on Reggie McElroy.
He mentioned to us that the continuity of the offensive line was affected without Max being there. He didn't want to put all the travails of the running game and pass protection upon one guy. But he says when that one guy, and especially a Pro Bowler as he has been with the Cincinnati Bengals in the past, is out, he said that other people have to make up for it, and that just is too much of a struggle for some of the younger people who don't have his experience.
First down and 15. The Seahawks now with 5 in the secondary as Brian Davis comes in. And Dickerson gets the call, and he's going to pop through for about 5 yards to the 45-yard line. Let's look at that Seattle Seahawks defense with Jeff Bryant, Joe Nash, Cortez Kennedy, and what a matchup we'll be watching him today. He'll be going against Wisniewski. And Tony Woods, the linebackers Joe Kane, David Wyman, and Rufus Porter. And in the secondary, it is Harper, Hunter, Blackman, and Robinson. Second down and 10, the ball at the 45-yard line. No score in the ball game. 10:45, time remaining. We're in the first period. Galt comes across in motion. Schrader has time. He goes deep. It is tipped. It is incomplete. Ethan Horton, the tight end, was downfield with Eugene Robinson and Patrick Hunter picking him up, and he's shaken up just a little.
He's looking like Evander Holyfield in the 11th round the other night.
Yeah.
He's
where am I?
A little bit on Queer Street there. Yeah. The legs aren't there. He takes a shot down the seam. Trust me when I tell you that I've run a couple of these, and I know what this feels like. Attempting the one-handed catch. Watch when he gets hit from both sides. Pow in the back and then pow in the front. Yeah. That really hurts.
What does it feel like?
It hurts, I said.
Okay. I know that.
What, I look like a physiologist to you? I can't explain it to you.
Of course you can.
What it is that you're so concentrated on the ball, you don't know that somebody's going to come in. And I ended up having 6 or 7 broken ribs over my career just on routes like that. Ethan Horton, of course, last year, 53 catches, led the team in receptions, was also a Pro Bowler. This year, because of the struggles of the offense, he's yet to get in the end zone with only 19 catches.
Third down and 10. Andrew Glover comes in for Horton, and on third down, Marcus Allen comes into the offensive set for the Raiders.
Marcus Allen, over 400 catches in his career, one of the best pass-catching running backs, arguably, in the history of the NFL.
6 in the secondary for Seattle. Steve Smith and Marcus Allen are the split backs. And Schrader to throw. And he's going to run for it. He'll pick up the first down, and he kind of dives and slides in a combination to the 34-yard line, and he got it. He needed to cross the 35. He picks up the first down, and Hunter is there to cover him for Seattle.
Very frustrating for the Seattle defense. They do an excellent job in the secondary, and Jay Schrader, not known for his mobility, sees that everybody's got their back turned, trailing the receivers, and he cuts upfield, takes the safe route with the hook slide, and the Raiders have a first down at the 35.
And Eric Dickerson comes back into that offensive set for Los Angeles, and Marcus Allen comes out. Oh, he's not. He took the shades off when the action started.
Well, of course, it's very LA. It's stylish. But when the game starts, it's got to go with substance. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Tim Brown, the motion. Dickerson, the ball carrier. Jeff Bryant was there for the Seahawks. Mark it for one. It'll be second down and 9.
Jeff Bryant has played a lot of games for the Seahawks. 145 today. Former first-round pick back in 1982. Has been one of those people that's just been continually solid for the Seahawks through the years. Now in his 11th season.
And Ethan Horton comes back in at tight end for Los Angeles. Second down and 9. The ball at the 34-yard line. We're moving on the 9-minute mark. Time remaining in the first quarter. And we have no score. The Seahawks with one offensive possession. This is the opening drive for the Raiders following a kick. Second and 9. Raider again with good protection, goes underneath the coverage to the 30-yard line to Tim Brown. And he's going to add one more yard to the 29. A total of 5 on the play. Joe Kane with the tackle. It'll be third down and 4.
Little disgruntled because Tim knew he should have got a lot more out of that. The Seahawks in a zone. Watch Harper backpedal. He just finds the seam in it and sits down. Schrader gets him the ball, and Brown, excellent in the open field, makes the good move here on Kane, but can't do any more with it. Just the slap on the thigh enough to get him down, and he's disappointed. This is what you get when you're great. Don Mosbar, give you an idea here. Steve Wisniewski, 6'3", 285. Don Mosbar, 6'7", 285. That's 370 pounds and about 15 feet of people you have to deal with.
Alexander Wright comes in. Marcus Allen is in. It is tipped. It is in the air, and it is incomplete. Almost intercepted.
That would have been a whale of a catch by Blackman if he could have held on.
Alexander Wright, the intended receiver. It'll be fourth down.
What happens, Charlie, is Alexander Wright, NFL's fastest man. Certainly he's not used to catching the ball over the middle. A little bit behind him, but certainly very catchable. And Blackman with the tack-of-5 gloves, almost able to come up with it. Most of your speedsters run their routes to the outside. He feels the bodies around him, and certainly that's one of the reasons why he didn't come up with it.
Jeff Jager from the 37-yard line, a 47-yard field goal attempt.
He's had his struggles this year, Charlie. After a Pro Bowl season last year, he's 11 for 19 coming into this game.
No trouble there. The Raiders are on the board, and they lead 3-0. Back to the kickoff in a moment.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Levi's new loose-fitting jeans. By Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart. And by Delta Airlines. At Delta, we love to fly, and it shows.
Welcome back to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. This is Charlie Jones and Todd Christensen. The Raiders kicking off with Chris Warren and Ruben Mays, the return man. And once again, Jager sails it deep into the end zone and will bring it out to the 20-yard line.
You know, Charlie, that was a 47-yard field goal we watched, and the guy that caught it, he must have been 10, 12 yards behind the goalpost. It's interesting what some of the, he's not an older kicker by any stretch, he's only 27, but I'm surprised that throughout the year when we've noticed the Gary Andersons and Nick Lowrys and some of these people are getting up in age, whatever they're doing in the offseason, whether it be stretching or particular lifts, they know that it's not, the field goal kicking is only half of the job now. The kickoffs are a big deal, and a lot of times if you can kick off, witness Brad Daloiso, you might have a job in the NFL.
The Denver Broncos, as you know, carrying 3 kickers, including the kickoff special. Little play action fake, good timing. Pass is complete to John L. Williams. And they're going to pick up 3 yards to the 23-yard line. It'll be second down and 7. Winston Moss with the stop.
John L. Williams is the leading pass receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, 41 coming into this game, but in a lot of cases that's deceiving. His average per catch is only 6.5 yards that you see right there. And what that means, that's an awful lot of dump-off passes when nobody downfield is open. And as you also saw, this far, not able to get into the end zone with it either.
Second down and 7. The ball at the 23-yard line. 7.5 minutes to go first quarter. Raiders are up 3-0. on the 47-yard field goal by Jeff Jager. And here's Chris Warren. And he's got a couple to the 25-yard line. It's going to be 3rd down and 5.
Ricky Ellison, number 50, inside backer for the LA Raiders. Arguably one of the smallest inside backers in the league. People always look at the field mouse for the New Orleans Saints. A man by the name of Sam Mills. That man right there, 6'2", 225. And Charlie, in this day and age of run stoppers, you've got all sorts of guys ranging from 240 to 270 playing at the inside backer position. But Ellison, former San Francisco 49er, continues to do the job for the Raiders.
Rob Thomas and James Jones come into the offensive set. Gelbaugh rolls out, has protection, throws, and it is intercepted. The Raiders have the ball. Lionel Washington with the interception. His 2nd of the year.
Stan Gelbaugh is looking right in his face at a blitz from Ronnie Lott, and this is just a bad throw. He completely overthrows the man. Watch number 42 is going to come into your screen from the right. Gelbaugh throws the ball a little bit sooner than he wanted to and throws it right into the arms of number 48, Lionel Washington. You could see there to the side, he actually did have Tommy Kane open on the comeback, but the pressure of Lott forced him to throw it off.
And Lionel Washington told us yesterday, if we play well as individuals, then we can come together as a team.
That's a very telling stat right there, which that's actually twofold. It means that both teams are taking a lot of chances and also shows a little ineptitude on the quarterback's part on both sides of the ball.
First down, Raiders. Raider goes back to the far side, and the pass is complete to Willie Gault. Patrick Hunter had the coverage. Now, Willie Gault is the deep receiver, the big play man for the Raiders. He has not been doing that recently, but he has a good start in this ballgame. That one is good for 15 to go with an earlier one of 17 yards.
Well, Willie Gault, of course, we know him for his great speed. He was the man that in 1983 was on the world record-holding 4x100-meter relay team. And what they do there is that certainly as soon as he gets past a certain point, the corner has to turn his hips and look upfield. When Gault comes back, that makes an easy throw for Schrader.
The Raiders at the Seattle 27-yard line, first down. Trying to capitalize on the interception by Washington. It goes for the touchdown, and it is incomplete. Tim Brown could not hold on to it. Eugene Robinson hit it.
I tell you what, I don't know if Jay Schrader has ever been sharper. The last throw there, he threw completely across the field to go. And look, this is actually pretty good coverage on Brown. He runs the post route, cuts back to the middle. Watch the safety come in right between the two. Terrific throw by Schrader.
Yes.
Tim Brown definitely should have come up with that one. If you remember yesterday, Charlie, he was lamenting to us the number of balls he has not gotten. Well, if he doesn't hold on to that, then Jay Schrader's not inclined to go back to him.
And also, it is what Art Shell was talking about. He said, we're that close. We're just that close. You have to make those plays. 2nd down and 10, back at the 27. Fernandez comes in. And Steve Smith is the ball carrier. Tony Woods with the tackle.
Number 99, Cortez Kennedy, almost a certain Pro Bowler here, comes off the double team again. There's Mosbar and Wisniewski, but there's number 99 laying right on top of Steve Smith for no gain.
Remember what Cortez said yesterday? He's never beaten the Raiders.
He also said something about Miami being number 1. He was very definitive. And as I recall, nobody in the room argued with him.
I was on his side immediately.
Yeah. You're right, Cortez.
That's right.
He could have told me night was day, and I'd have said, you're absolutely right, man.
Raiders steps away. Has all the time in the world, and now he throws, and it's going to be intercepted. No. Schrader got away with one. He made a bad decision. He was trying to throw it away. Dedrick Dodge almost had the interception. He may have been screened off, but he came down with it out of bounds.
Charlie, you're right. He got very lucky here. No reason for him to try to make a touch pass here. He throws it right to Dodge, and if Dodge could have just gotten the left foot down inside, you can see clearly there it's on the chalk. Good call by the official.
Here's Jeff Bryant, who is chasing Schrader.
That's a ball he should have thrown completely out of the end zone, and you're absolutely right. Very fortunate to get that one back.
And now a 43-yard field goal attempt by Jeff Jager, who is hit from 47 yards. And he is dead solid perfect. So he is 2 for 2, and the Raiders lead it 6-0. This was during the timeout.
You can see Tim Brown trying to explain to tight end coach Terry Robisky and Art Shell, well, what really happened there was I just didn't quite bring it in. And it's always funny after the fact. You can see the hand motions there of Terry Robisky trying to explain how to catch the ball. I always got a laugh out of that when I was playing. Hey, man, it happened already. There's nothing you can do about it.
Jeff Jager with a pair of field goals of 47 and 43 yards. Will be kicking off either Chris Warren or Reuben Mays. And again, he's going to put it into the end zone. Will they run it out? Yes. Oh, yes. Now he's committed. You got to get out of it to safety. That's going to cost you 2 points.
Safety, safety. Oh, motherfucker.
He is saying no, that the ball did not come out. He said only the foot. The ball did not break the plane of the goal line coming out from the end zone.
The ball.
That's exactly what he was saying right there before he got interrupted. That's a good call, Charlie. That's exactly what happened, and that's what Dick Hantak saw. He was right on top of it. If we get a chance on the replay to show you, you can see that the ball does not come out. This is a similar situation to scoring a touchdown. Imagine that the right leg as he's scoring a touchdown. Where does the ball go? Right here. The foot clearly is over, but the ball is behind his waist, and you can hear the boos from the crowd, but they don't understand the rule.
It's up on the big screen here, but his foot came into the field of play. But we always talk about, breaking the plane, going in for the touchdown. Well, it did not break the plane coming out. Same plane applies. So we go out to the 20-yard line, and John L. Williams gets a call, and he's going to pick up 2, maybe 3 on the play. And we have a scuffle at the 25-yard line. Winston Moss with the tackle. Washington's got a handful of John Hunter. That's a mismatch.
Now you can see and you can see the irritation on the part of John Hunter. He looks around and
says, "Who?"
He says 6 foot 180. He says, "Get out back!
What are you doing?" It is 2nd down and 7. The ball at the Seattle 23-yard line.
Seattle needs to do more than 3 and punt here. They need to get a couple of first downs to establish something.
Pressure coming from the outside and down the middle. He's caught at the 45-yard line. Lewis Clark, he almost could have signaled for the fair catch, and he takes the punishment because he had to wait for it coming down 22 yards downfield.
Receiver coaches are always telling their pupils, don't jump for the ball if you don't have to, because when you jump for the ball, you make yourself vulnerable. Watch at the end of this. Once again, classic case. He's on the up route. Washington has excellent coverage, but the ball is underthrown. Does he have to jump for this ball? No. But in so doing, he exposes himself both in the hip and the ribs. If he catches the ball running, Charlie, he doesn't get to take this shot. Completely exposed right there. Eddie Anderson makes him pay the price.
We'll step aside with the injury timeout. Raiders lead it 6-0.
This quail that Stan Gelbaugh threw ends up wobbling in, and if you can stop right here, take a look at the ribs and the buttocks that are going to be exposed as a result of Lewis Clark jumping. Now what's going to happen? Watch the helmet of Eddie Anderson plant right there and make him pay the price, and that's the reason why he was in so much pain.
That's the kidney area too, isn't it? Right back there. Ooh. Oh, that hurts from up here.
Well,
there's Clark on the sideline. He's been replaced by Rob Thomas. Also, John Hunter went down there looking at his knee. Sean Farrell is now the left guard. And it's a first down for Seattle at their own 45-yard line. Gelbaugh has pressure, steps forward. And the mobile one, as he calls himself, is out to the 48, maybe the 49-yard line. So he's going to scramble for 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6. Greg Townsend was chasing him.
And Howie Long is the one putting on the pressure. Watch Howie Long with his patented rip move coming underneath. Darrell Brills just about getting to Gelbaugh right at the end, but you can see Stan Gelbaugh. And take a look at the pad on his back. If you can see there, just below the 1 and the 8, you can see that little bulge. That's a pad that I'll bet you Lewis Clark wishes he had right now.
Yeah.
Because that's there to protect the kidney. Charlie, a game I had back in 1984 when we played the Chicago Bears. That's the reason why, if you ever watch Jim McMahon now, he looks so fat. He had a lacerated kidney in that game. That was the reason why he started to wear that particular pad.
John L. Williams to the 48-yard line of the Raiders. We mentioned that John L. Hunter out of the ball game with a knee injury. We'll try and have a report on for you.
3rd and 3.
There's nothing, Charlie, there's nothing worse than when you're so intense heading into a game. You've fired up, you've prepared 6 days. And you know, one of the wonderful things about playing pro football is you let it all out for 3 hours on a Sunday. You let everything hang out. And then here you are in the middle of the first quarter, and more than likely, based on that reaction, he might not be able to get back in the game. So he has some definite pent-up emotion.
David Daniels comes in, 3rd down and 2, 3 wide receivers. Pass is complete for the first down, and a flag is down. John L. Williams on the receiving end. Did he pick up a face mask along the way? Is that the call?
So it appears. John L. Williams continues to do that.
Face mask. 5 yards. Added on to an already first down.
Aaron Wallace for the Raiders.
Been doing it for a lot of years, and certainly the Seattle Seahawks know that if they have man-for-man coverage, a linebacker on John L. Williams, that's certainly a mismatch. You saw there right at the end as the helmet tilted down. Aaron Wallace with his left hand had a piece of the face mask, and that tacks another 5 yards now down to the 37-yard line. And this is an outstanding drive, certainly by Seattle standards thus far.
Seattle trailing in the ball game by a score of 6-0. The deepest penetration in Raiders territory. 1:40 left to go in the first quarter. And a first down, Seattle. John L. Williams. And John L. will go to the 32-yard line, so he's going to pick up 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Ricky Ellison with the tackle. And next Sunday, NBC Sports presents an action-packed NFL doubleheader beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL Live. Then most of you to see an AFC battle between 2 of the NFL's highest-scoring teams when the Oilers collide with the Dolphins, or the Browns take on the Vikings, or the Colts meet the Steelers. Then in the second half of the doubleheader, Todd and I will be back here for a classic rivalry. John Elway and the Broncos up against these Raiders, so check your local listings for the games and times in your area. 2nd and 5, 32-yard line. Last week against Washington, Chris 103 yards rushing, 2nd time in his career that he has broken the century mark. Terry McDaniel with the stop.
You mentioned earlier that one of the things that Tom Flores was optimistic about was the development of this man. 100-yard game against the Redskins, and he's doing everything but selling programs. Kickoff returns, punt returns, running from scrimmage. Tom Flores has been very pleased with the improvement of the man from Ferrum College.
When we asked Tom about this season, he said, you know what, I'd forgotten the long nights after you lose.
Well, certainly when you're in the front office, you don't personalize them, but as a coach, you can't afford not to.
3rd down and 1. And Chris Warren is stopped. I do not believe he's going to pick it up. Winston Moss makes the tackle. I think you're in 4-down territory. You go for it. But we'll find out in just a couple of minutes, because that is the end of the first quarter with the Raiders leading by a score of 6-0.
While we're away, Lewis Clark on the bullpen car taking in for x-rays of his kidney and ribs. And of course, that was a byproduct of this shot that you saw earlier in the game. Watch the crown of the helmet of Eddie Anderson planted right in the lower back of lower quadrant. Ouch. Ooh. Right there, just below the 8. And Charlie, as you mentioned to me earlier, this is really a problem because one of the inactives for the Seattle Seahawks is Doug Thomas. So now they're down to only 3 wide receivers.
And now a 45-yard field goal attempt by John Casey. And it is no good. And John Casey misses from 45 yards away.
You know what? Tom's a friend of mine. He was a coach of mine for a lot of years, but quite frankly, I don't understand that call. You know, you're 1-8 coming into this game. A 45-yard field goal is about a 50-50 proposition. Certainly 4th and 1, you got to take a shot at it, because now, remember last week against the Washington Redskins, John Casey missed from 22 yards out. And while he certainly is a quality NFL kicker, I think that in that situation, given the situation of the team and where they're at, why not go for it on 4th and 1? Give it a shot.
Maybe he figures that 4th and 1's also a 50-50 situation with that offensive line.
Well, I would concur.
You know, now that John Hunter is out, we understand sprained left knee for John Hunter, and he will not be returning.
But again, you still have a situation. You know, your team's 1-8. What do you have to lose?
No, you're right.
Give it a try.
I agree with you.
I thought you were right when you said 4-down territory. I'm very surprised at that.
Raiders then take over on downs, and Eric Dickerson gets the call. And he picks up 3 yards from the 28 to the 31-yard line. It will be 2nd down and 7. Joe Nash with the tackle.
Eric Dickerson this year, earlier in the season, passed Tony Dorsett to become the 2nd leading rusher in NFL history. But you know what? It really wasn't that big of a milestone, because I think that based on what he did with the Los Angeles Rams over in Anaheim, I think people thought that at this point in his career he'd be passing Peyton. But in going to Indianapolis and having the problems that he did there, forcing the trade, money, injuries, etc., a lot of people wonder whether or not he's going to go down in history as one of the all-time great backs just because of his deportment.
2nd down and 7. I think his numbers alone will make him one of the great backs in the history of the National Football League.
Oh, but what could have been.
Well, but that is true with a lot of people. Cortez Kennedy makes the stop. Well, he's everywhere, isn't he?
You know what I liked? The thing he said yesterday that I liked, Charlie, he said that if the score is 150-0, or if we're 1-50, I really don't care. I said, I have too much pride in myself, and I don't want anybody to say that I ever dogged it, regardless of the score. That's what I learned from the University of Miami, and certainly that's what the Seattle brass are happy about.
And, of course, adding on to that, he also stated, I'm going to get my respect.
And in a very short time, he has earned it.
Yeah. 3rd down and 7. Tim Brown in motion. Schrader to throw. Has pressure from the backside. Slips it away. Knocked away. It's up in the air, and it is incomplete. He got away from Rufus Porter. Was it Jeff Bryant that tipped the ball?
I believe it was number 77. Rufus Porter, of course, one of the best pass rushers for the Seattle Seahawks. Watch from the right of your screen. He's just going to blow by Bruce Wilkerson. You'd think that that's a mismatch, 6'5", 290 versus 6'1", 225. But the quickness of Porter forces Schrader to go to his left. Jeff Bryant bats down the pass, and the Raiders are going to have to punt.
So Jeff Gossett will be kicking, and Chris Warren will be returning for the Seahawks. And there is Chris. He's at the 20-yard line. Not that much of a breeze here in the Coliseum. It is warm. Probably in the mid-80s on the Coliseum floor. Chris takes it at the 24-yard line. He's to the 30, the 35. And that's all that he's going to get. So Seattle will have a 1st down at their own 35-yard line. The Raiders lead at 6-0. We'll be back in just a moment.
46 yards.
Looking down at the Los Angeles Coliseum from the MetLife blimp, and piloting today's MetLife blimp, Captains Mike Fitzpatrick and Hunter Harris. And, of course, overlooking all of Los Angeles is Snoopy, Uta Dog.
Uta Dog.
Uta Dog.
I knew you were going to say that. You love that line.
I love that line.
You love that one. What? One of the things that's been happening for the Seattle Seahawks right there, Hunter out injured. Take a look at the number of different players that have started for Seattle this season. 19 on offense and 14 on defense. You can talk all you want about the fact that the team might be a little bit inept in 1-8, but when you have to play that many different players, that's just too difficult during the week to prepare somebody new every single week, it seems like, that Tom Flores has had to do.
Let's go back to the nose of the MetLife blimp for a moment. For the viewers that weren't with us last week, is that Dan Reeves of Denver during the off week was up around Big Sur and went into to a museum, and they had this huge lithograph of Snoopy, and he had just teed off on the golf course, and behind it, one of the gallery said
it says Uta Dog.
Yes. In fact, I contacted them, and they're sending me a picture of it. I love it.
I know you do.
I do. I really do.
But that's enough.
Okay, you're right. Well said. Good ball, a lot of time. Throws. Oh, bad pass.
Well, it's not so much a bad pass as you had 2 people in the exact same area. You had the tight end and wide receiver, and again, here's part of the problem. Is that Ron Heller and the reserve wide receiver, in this case Rob Thomas, is going to be right in the middle of the field. Take a look right here. Both guys are going to hook up right in that spot, and so when Gilbaugh throws the ball, there's 2 guys in the exact same place. That should never happen offensively. Right there, that's where the ball goes. 2 guys in the exact same spot.
2nd and 10, the ball at the 35-yard line. Raiders lead it 6-0. Here's the pitch, and Chris Warren. And Warren will go just across the 40. Chester McLaughlin, the #1 draft choice out of Clemson for the Raiders. The defensive tackle is the man who stopped him. Will mark it for 5. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
Chester McLaughlin, as you mentioned, #1 pick, and now he's coming out. Look at the size of this man. I was told yesterday, I asked Al Locus, Al, is this guy going to be a player? And he said, absolutely. He said, you should see him in the pass rush drills. You should see him dominate. You can see the physique right there. As strange as it seems, as heavy as he was timed in 4.9 in the 40. But as I mentioned to somebody else, it's one thing to do it in practice. It's another thing to do it in a game.
6'4", 315 pounds. That's his program rate. Here is the deep pass, and it is incomplete. Tommy Kane, the intended receiver.
That could have been the best throw that Stan Gelbaugh has had today. Right on the money, but watch number 36. You can't cover better than this. Stride for stride, looking right in his face. Now when he looks back, he looks back. Right in front of him, excellent coverage by Terry McDaniel.
Yes, he almost picked it up.
Or T-Mac, as he is known to his teammates. Gelbaugh puts it right on the money, right where it has to be, but that's where number 36 is as well, and all Kane can do is prevent the interception.
Rick Tootin will be kicking. Tim Brown is the deep back. Oh, good kick.
Well, I tell you, that's 2 in a row for him.
15-yard line. To the 20, needs a block, cuts it to the 30. 34-yard line. Good return. 18 yards on the return by Tim Brown. We'll step aside. Raiders lead at 6-0.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Starter. Look for the stars and you'll find Starter. By Pringles. So fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. By Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas. And by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
So you think punters aren't football players, eh? Well, that man is right there, and he's had 2 howitzers. Take a look right after the punt. He knows he's got a good one, so what does he do? Oh, boy, this could be returned. I better hustle my butt down there. Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have to make a tackle. I'm going to have to make a tackle, and I do.
Right.
Now, look at the reaction of his we didn't get a chance to see it. Dedrick Dodge came over and patted him on the head and said, way to go.
Schrader goes deep.
What a catch.
Intercepted.
What a catch by Eugene Robinson.
And here comes Eugene Robinson on the return out to the 40, and he is then caught from behind by Alexander Wright.
Oh, my gosh. What a catch he made. The pride of Colgate, along with the likes of Mark Van Egan. Oh, what a catch he just laid out. Jay Schrader, plenty of time, airs this ball out. This is a good 55, 60 yards in the air, and watch number 41 completely lay out for this ball. Completely extended. You rarely see defensive backs make catches of that caliber. Look at that. He comes up and runs it back. Shades of Marv Hubbard and Mark Van Egan, other Colgate alums. And of course they're laughing right now because they say no, there's no comparison whatsoever.
But did you also notice that Alexander Wright, the intended receiver, got up, came from behind and caught it?
Well, if I was 409 in the 40, I could have caught him too.
Okay. And here's the sack. Willie Broughton gets the sack. That is his first of the year.
I suppose this would go under the heading of moot points, but this is part of the problem for Seattle. Big interception, big turnover, 43-yard line. Hey, let's get going, you guys. Let's have a big play. Oh, guess not.
Loss of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 18. Gelbaugh has completed only 4 of 9 for 38 yards. He has suffered an interception, but in a quarterback comparison, Schrader has completed 3 of 8 for 38 yards, and he just suffered an interception. 3 of 9.
That reinforces the graphic that was put up earlier regarding the less than 50%. They're operating, I guess, even keel right now.
2nd down and 18. Donnell Williams. He's going to get a couple. It's going to be 3rd down, around 15 or 16 to go for the first down.
Ronnie Lott in on the tackle, Charlie, and leading tackler coming into this game for the Los Angeles Raiders. It's been well documented. His book, Football's Most Ferocious Hitter, and of course those who really follow football closely remember a Monday night game where he really got his comeuppance against Barry Ward and the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he really took some shots. But for those that think that maybe Ronnie Lott's getting by in reputation, it's not true. We mentioned the fact that not only is he the team's leading tackler, but he's definitely their vocal leader there on the defensive side of the ball. And he was one of the names that Art Shell pointed out in terms of people that have great football savvy. His and Howie Long's are the first 2 names that came up.
And Marcus was the 3rd. Pass complete far side to James Jones, but he's going to come up about 3, maybe 4 yards shy of the first down. It will be 4th down as Lionel Washington makes the tackle.
James Jones, former fullback of the Detroit Lions, has been playing a lot of tight end for the Seattle Seahawks, and of course on third downs has been coming in that tight end spot. And of course today, I would guess, Charlie, because of the injury to the wide receivers, we'll see a lot more of him. Excellent pass catcher coming out of the backfield, and just to show his versatility, he is the Seattle special teams captain.
And a combination really tight end and H-back.
And now take a look. Here he is in the punts as fullback. Is there anything he doesn't do?
Rick Tootin will be kicking. Tim Brown is the return man.
Tackling Rick Tootin.
And kicking Rick Tootin. Punting well. Fair catch. Taken to the 10-yard line. Raiders have the ball at their own 10. 9:42 time remaining first half. 40-yard kick. Raiders on top 6-0. Tonight on NBC, a special 2-hour all-new eyewitness video starting at 7 o'clock to be followed by Donahue, the 25th anniversary. A 2-hour primetime star-studded special as Phil Donahue celebrates 25 years of television. You know, not only a big sports, but big baseball fan, big Cincinnati Red fan. He once did a baseball game together. He made a good sportscaster. Good guy.
Gee, what a surprise.
I knew. Well, I thought I'd mention personalize it a little bit.
Well, it evens out. You'd be a great advocate for.
But he's been around a long time, too, like I have. But here's the same thing. Yeah. Here's Nick Bell, who is in the lineup for the Raiders, and he gets the call. Cortez Kennedy gets the tackle and the report on Lewis Clark.
Well, really not surprising. The cracked ribs, and watch again the helmet to number 8. Not surprising. That's close to what's called the transverse process. Lower bones in the back. I happen to break a couple of those myself, and he'll be.
You were all beat up.
He'll be. No, I guarantee over the next couple of days his breaths will be coming in short stints. And he better watch his coughs too.
So Lewis Clark out with cracked ribs 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh no, I think he can play with him.
Oh really?
It's not today.
Here's the pressure on Schrader. He is sacked. Joe Nash gets him. Nash now on the year has 2.5 sacks. They're going to mark it at about the 1-yard line.
Joe Nash, former Pro Bowl nose tackle for the Seattle Seahawks, just flat out beats Max Montoya. The top left of your screen, he's going to blow right past him, and Schrader just doesn't have the time, and down he goes.
So they put it on the 1-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 19. What about the fact that they're doubling Cortez Kennedy? Does that open something for Joe?
Well, what it does is that it just means that Max Montoya is going to have Joe Nash by himself. He'll get no bump from the center.
And Steve Smith.
Hand off to Steve Smith.
On 3rd down, just getting a little room for the kicker, Jeff Gossett.
You know, it's funny. Steve Smith is one of the most underpublicized players for the Raiders. He does all the dirty work, a la Tom Rathman, a la Tony Page. Those types of fullbacks throughout the league, and sure enough on 3rd and 19 we need a little breathing room, nothing fancy. Who gets the ball? Finally gets a carry at Steve Smith, and there you can see Napoleon McCallum with a little pat on the shoulders to say, hey, thanks babe, we got a little more room to punt now.
Picked up 5, and that gives room to Jeff Gossett.
For most NFL punts it takes 15 yards, and that's exactly what they have, and Gossett in no danger of stepping on the back line.
At the 50-yard line, here's Chris Warren on the return. He's got 5 yards. He's got 10, 11 yards on the return. And so Seattle will set up shop in Raider territory following that 45-yard kick.
Offhand, do you know of any other starting halfback in the National Football League that also returns punts?
No.
I think he's got to be the only one.
Once they start starting, they stop returning.
Indeed.
We'll be back in a moment. Be sure to stay with us at halftime for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report with Bob, OJ, and Will, and they'll have all of the scores and all the highlights. A lot of great games today. And in case you did not know, Houston defeated Minnesota, Kansas City beat Washington, San Diego over Cleveland, Atlanta defeated Phoenix by 3. Just a few. They'll have all the numbers, they'll have all of the scores and all of the highlights. Stay with us. It's really been
New
a fun
England's
day.
first victory.
Yes. So they'll have a lot of things to talk about. John L. Williams is the ball carrier from the 39 to the 33-yard line, so he has 6. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Aaron Wallace with the tackle. And Seattle now with excellent field position and an opportunity to either get closer with the field goal, they have missed one earlier, or to go in for the score and possibly take the lead with the extra point.
It's funny. It's just the fact that you're debating it.
I know, yeah.
You know,
well, there's a quizzical question
something
in my mind.
No, it is. I agree.
Well, they have not been an offensive
Juggernaut?
juggernaut.
I knew that's the word you're looking for.
I was searching for that one. Thank you. Chris Warren. And we have a pushing and shoving contest. They go to market at about the 30-yard line, so it's going to be 3rd down and 1.
Well, Ray Roberts certainly isn't acting like a rookie there. He takes the initial shot from Aaron Wallace and cuffs him in the back of the head. He was actually pretty lucky he didn't get called for the penalty. Here's left tackle number 73. Coming down, now he gets a piece of Wallace, and Wallace doesn't like the fact that the play's completely over, and he pushes him past. Now he's got a hold of him. Watch the left hand of Roberts here. Bow! Take that.
Oh!
And I like the composure of the officials there to not throw the flag there.
No need to. That's a pretty good left-handed shot, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if the Wahoos teach that brand of boxing now.
3rd down and 1. And John L. Williams is stuffed by the Raiders, led by Winston Moss. It's going to be 4th down and 1, maybe 1.5 to go. Do you go with a long field goal attempt again, or do you go for the 1st down?
Here's what I don't like about this, Charlie, and that was last time in a similar situation. Now, I'm not talking about the field goal. They're going to talk it over, and that's wisdom. The thing is that I don't know why throughout the league, one of the things that's been effective for teams in short yardage situations, don't come in with a 3 tight end set. Don't jam everybody in there. Don't give them the opportunity to match up man for man, because right now, let's face it, Seattle's undermanned. What Tom needs to do is to go with a 3 wide set or spread people out and give them a chance to go 4 and 4, create some seams for Warren and Williams, because right now when they bunch in, they're going to lose because the Raiders are bigger and stronger.
For Seattle, 48 out of 112 of their drives have been 3 and out. This is a drive that they started at their 39-yard line. That is on the season, of course. They face now a 4th down and 2.
And do you realize the pressure that puts on the defense, that level of drives, when you know that, and Eugene Robinson addressed that yesterday with regards to the fact that, they barely get to the sidelines and they have to come back in. And quite frankly, one of the points that we made earlier in the broadcast, Seattle's defense has been playing very well. They are effective, but you can't be effective if you're out there 80 plays a game. I mean, inevitably they're going to score against you.
And they say we begin to wear down in the 4th quarter. We need some points from the offense. But so far, there's not been any finger pointing from one side to the other. They have stayed together as a team, and of course you can credit Tom Flores for that.
Well, on the upside of that, Charlie, it's fun to come into games and know that you have absolutely nothing to lose. The pressure isn't there. I mean, really the pressure is there in terms of your particular job, but as far as going to the playoffs or worrying about that sort of thing, you come into this game, you just play as hard as you can and let the chips fall.
4th down and 2. Gelbaugh to throw, and it is incomplete. James Jones, the intended receiver, and that was catchable.
Very catchable. A design play. I think it got tipped a little bit at the line of scrimmage, but number 30 will be the first to tell you that he should have caught this ball. Watch at the end of the play. Watch how he scrunches his back up in anticipation of getting hit.
Yes.
James Jones is one of the tougher players in the National Football League, but number 42, Ronnie Lott, you could see, made him have the short arms. Oh, disappointed.
So the Raiders take over on downs at their own 31-yard line. 1st down, and Los Angeles leads by a score of 6-0 with 5 minutes and 48 seconds left to go. We're in the 1st quarter. Raiders scoring on a pair of field goals. And Nick Bell gets the call. Bell, who has been averaging 5.8 yards a carry, has 8 here to the 39-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Tony Woods and Robert Blackman with the tackle. Look at that average, 5.8.
Take a look, Charlie, if we get a chance here at the play earlier. James Jones, if you tell me a reputation for being a hitter doesn't affect you, watch number 42 come from the left of your screen. Oops. It's not going to be that big of a hit, but James Jones knows it's coming, and Ronnie Lott's the one that made him have those alligator arms and not come up with the ground.
2nd down and 2, and here's Bell again. And he will pick up the 1st down at the 45-yard line.
In the 19-0 victory earlier in the season up at the Kingdome, that man, Nick Bell, is the one that busted off the 66-yard run that ended up being the big play, enabling the Los Angeles Raiders to have that victory. You see there 3 carries for 16 yards. He's got to be a little bit frustrated in so much that it's kind of tough to caddy for the likes of Dickerson and Allen. And I'm sure at this stage in his career now, I believe in his 3rd year in the league, he wants to be playing full-time. I guess when you're behind 20,000 yards worth of career rushing, you know what you're saying.
And he has his turn again. This is his 2nd year in the league, and he was the number 2 draft choice last year out of Iowa.
He was somebody that always wanted to play with the Raiders. I remember last year when they had a Raider game here, they had a picture of him as a 3-year-old wearing number 77 in a silver and black uniform. He's one of the few backs in the league that's
wearing
effective.
77?
Yes, yes.
He didn't choose 46? The man has no taste.
I know. Well, you know, he became a Torn Dorn fan later.
Oh, okay.
And so, jeez, well, I tell you, with friends like you.
I know. Second down and 5. And here is Bell again. He's a little bit of a load to carry, isn't he?
He is, and I was going to say, Charlie, he's one of the few backs in the National Football League that's effective being tall. He's about 6'3.5", and as you mentioned, about 250 pounds. He reminds some a little bit of Zonk in terms of those particular dimensions. Left side of the line, giving him an opportunity to create some havoc. Ethan Horton comes off the ball. Look at Wilkerson, and there a little bit of holding on the part of Wisniewski on Kennedy, but of course, sometimes it's necessary with big 99.
Nick Bell at 6'2", 250 pounds, and it is third down and 2. Tim Brown is in motion. And Bell is going to pick up the first down. He moves the file to the 44-yard line. Jeff Bryan gets credit for the tackle. It's a first down for the Raiders, and this has been all Nick Bell.
One of the first things they tell you in Pop Warner football as a running back is keep your legs moving. Watch the initial hits and watch at the end number 38. There's the initial hit. There's the second. Watch the legs keep moving right there, getting over the 45-yard line, enabling the Raiders to have the first down. That man right there, I would guess, back in Iowa, ran a couple of tires. That's why he's able to keep those legs moving.
And that is 5 straight carries for Nick Bell. And a little play action fake. Raiders throw. Pass is complete to Steve Smith. 30-yard line. First down, Los Angeles. Wyman and Porter on the tackle. A gain of 14.
Certainly one of those wonderful football axioms that the run sets up the pass. After 5 straight carries, play action pass. The Seahawks a little bit on their heels trying to find their zone at the right. You can see David Wyman completely turned around, doesn't know where Steve Smith is, and he makes the tackle. But not until he gets to the 30-yard line. Here's number 99. Oh, look at that. That's got to be frustrating. He thinks he has Wisniewski beats, comes around the corner. There's Montoya. Double teaming it seems at every turn.
2-minute warning will now be given to both benches. We'll step aside for a moment. The Raiders on the move, and they lead 6-0.
Yo, guys, there's Yogi.
You can't top the Pringles pop. The taste is tough.
Pringles? I haven't tried them in years.
Pringles taste better than these bag chips. Check it out, yo.
I'll believe it when I believe it.
So?
I believe it. They taste better.
Yeah. Observe. Bag chips feel greasy.
Grease don't taste good. Taste tastes good.
Yeah!
Once you pop, you can't stop.
The day may come when travelers don't care how much their luggage weighs. But for now, there's the Samsonite Lightweight. It's 25% lighter than the average soft-side suitcase. Because at least in the immediate future, the weight of the luggage you carry can still be a matter of some gravity. Samsonite, our strengths are legendary.
Next Sunday, Dan Marino and the Dolphins battle the Oilers. Then, John Elway and the first-place Broncos face the Raiders. An NBC football doubleheader next Sunday.
That's another fan. That's,
Oh, geez.
that's behind. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That's behind the Seattle bench. And on the Raiders side,
Well, of course, that's a little bit more high-tech. You know, they're the home team, so they have a mist as opposed to a fan.
is that from their mystique?
Oh, jeez.
0 for 2.
The clapping for the
I
fans.
know. Well, it's been a long season.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shecky Jones will be appearing at the La Jolla Club.
That's right. With Snoopy, because what a ball game he is having. He is a great ball player. This is Cortez Kennedy, of course.
Here, to me, this is the ultimate compliment. You have Steve Wisniewski. Those who follow football had read the Sports Illustrated article a week ago when general managers picked their best players in the league. They picked Cortez Kennedy and Steve Wisniewski. But evidently, the Raiders have decided Wisniewski's a great player, but we're not going to have him man-for-man with the Tez man.
Nick Bell again gets a call.
Gee, look who's in on the tackle.
Yeah. Cortez Kennedy, as those of you also know who follow football, is that previously he had worn number 96, and now in honor of his great friend who was killed in the automobile accident earlier this year, Jerome Brown, he is wearing 99, Jerome's number.
I asked him, I said that do you feel like you're getting your due as a former Miami defensive lineman? So many others have had accolades, and I asked him if he thought about Jerome Brown much, and he said, I think about him every day.
Every day. Second down and 8. Schrader, lots of time. Now he scrambles. He can run for the first down. Points out a block. Swivel hips to the sidelines. It goes out of bounds. Tim Brown with the block downfield.
Look at his reaction.
Close to Seattle.
I thought that was cute. He looked at Dick Hantack and kind of smiled, as if to say, who am I kidding running with the football? But Jay told me that coming out of college, he actually was timed in a 40 and 4.6. And of course, I said that no doubt if we remeasured it, it's 35 yards. And number 81, Tim Brown, putting the block here on Harper. What Schrader was actually pointing for is that he wanted Tim Brown to go out and up, was what he wanted. And instead, Schrader runs down to the 12-yard line, and Tim Brown showing his blocking expertise. Oh, yeah, sure. I don't think that was the right word.
Schrader, 16 yards on the play. Jay now 2 carries rushing, has 26 yards on the ground. And the first down of the Seattle 12. And you go right back to Nick Bell.
Head off to Nick Bell.
He was hit, what, a yard behind the line of scrimmage, and still manages to pick up a couple to the 10.
Raiders call timeout here with 1:03 left.
Timeout. Los Angeles, their first timeout. This is a 40-second timeout.
Number 99 coming right at you in the midst of the bodies. Once again, 76-72 all over him. Does it make a difference? Well, kind of does, but there he is again, in on the tackle. Man number 99. I remember a couple of years ago, Charlie, I think it was about 20 years ago, when they had that great Oklahoma-Nebraska game on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The irresistible force meets the immovable object. And I'd have to say at this point, the immovable object, 99, seems to be winning the battle.
I think he may be both.
Well, he was certainly irresistible yesterday.
That's right.
Something to eat, Tez? Okay.
It'll be second down and 8. We have 1 minute and 3 seconds left to go in the first half, and the Raiders are up 6-0. Jeff Jager with 2 field goals of 47 and 43 yards. We have not had a touchdown in the ball game. John Casey missed a 45-yard field goal to the right side for the Seahawks.
And of course, the Seahawks also, if you were with us earlier, missed on a 4th and 1.5. James Jones dropping a pass, very catchable, that could have kept the Seattle drive going.
Steve Smith, the fullback, the lead blocker, is 240 pounds. Bell, 250, little play action. Fake pass is complete outside into the end zone for the touchdown. It is Ethan Horton. His first touchdown of the year.
Earlier in the game, he had the seam route where he sprained his knee a little bit. You can see right there, he's still a little bit gimpy. He just runs out of the flat, and nobody goes with him. Zone defense, Robert Blackman, the strong safety, closest to him, got caught looking in the backfield. Cardinal sin for a defensive back, and Schrader certainly likes that reaction. Ethan Horton with his first touchdown of 1992.
A 69-yard touchdown drive. Here is the extra point, and it is good.
Point after is good.
And the Raiders go up 13-0 with 58 seconds left to go in the first half.
Tight end Ethan Horton, number 88, is going to run into a zone coverage. It's not man for man, and what happens is that number 25 strong safety here is going to be looking. This is all it is just a simple out route here. And when people start to backpedal, they're all looking into the secondary, and all Horton's going to do is run into the flat, and everybody's going to be looking at Jay Schrader instead of looking at the man. Simple flat route, nobody's there. He throws in the ball, and he can just walk into the end zone. Robert Blackman should have been looking at 88 instead of looking at number 10.
69 yards on the drive, and 30 of those yards, almost half, Nick Bell on 7 carries, and it's 13-0 Raiders. They, of course, started this drive on their own 31-yard line. That was after holding the Raiders on 4th and 2.
Ethan Horton is part of a tradition of the Raiders in terms of conversion projects. Those who remember way back remember the Heisman Trophy winner Billy Cannon, who came to the Los Angeles Raiders as a halfback. Al Davis wanted somebody a tight end who could get downfield, so they converted Billy Cannon to a tight end. In fact, they did the reverse with Hewritt Dixon. You remember Hewritt Dixon, who was a tight end and went to fullback. And of course, Ethan Horton, former first-round draft pick, halfback from North Carolina, and back in 1985 by the Kansas City Chiefs was their first-round pick. And I remember.
And you were a fullback.
And I remember at the time. I was going to let you do that just a second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I remember at the time Steve Ortmeyer, the special teams coach for the Raiders, saying the next Pro Bowl tight end could be Ethan Horton, and he turned out to be prophetic.
Now?
Yes, now. I'm cueing you, baby.
Okay.
But the project that worked out the better.
You came from BYU to the Dallas Cowboys as a fullback.
Correct.
And you became a project. And that man right there, Al Davis, took you as a personal project, knew you had a future, one of the few times that he has been wrong. Seattle at their own. No, you had a great career. Truly. Seattle at their own 20. Here's a little screen right side.
But I did enjoy your Purcell imitation.
Yeah. John L. Williams out to the 35-yard line. He picks up a quick 15, 45 seconds and counting. Ronnie Lott with the tackle. Hurry-up offense for the Seahawks.
Again, we remind you, because of the injury to Lewis Clark, limited in their wide receivers, only have 3, so they can't go to any semblance of a 4 wide receiver package, which of course they would have here during the 2-minute warning.
There is a sack, and they may rule a fumble following.
Gelbaugh hurt his knee. Gelbaugh's knee fell underneath the sack. That's why he dropped the ball. If we get a chance to look at that, the pain was so intense, he could have held on to the ball. I don't like the looks of that. Watch at the end of the play, watch his leg, and now they are going to have to use Stauffer here. Watch how awkward the leg is underneath the pile. In this case, it's Townsend. Ouch. You can see that. Yeah. It's not a matter of holding onto the ball. He went right for his knee. Yeah. And it's actually an accident on the part of Townsend. Watch him. He actually sacks him with his back. Take a look at this. That's a medial collateral. When that foot gets positioned like that, the inside part of the knee, and right there, Gelbaugh grabs for it.
Ironic that Stan told us yesterday, I'm getting accolades for staying alive. Oh, man. And so loosening up on the sideline is Kelly Stauffer. He will be coming into the ball game, and Tom Flores did not want to play him today. Wait, we have a problem with your microphone, I think. Okay, we'll get that corrected. Work on that.
Well,
there it is.
Yeah, I was about to say, part of the problem here is that, fresh off of the IR, and certainly against a defensive line like the Raiders, this isn't where you want to start out. But again, due to the number of injuries the Seattle Seahawks have had, we showed you a graphic earlier, all the number of different starters they've had to have throughout the season.
Tom Flores is out. They're looking at that knee.
You know what? The reason I like to see that, Charlie, is because so many times head coaches and people of this ilk get that impersonal feeling. He's just another player. I like the fact that you have the head man out there right now taking a look at his head man. And of course, last week in the game that we had, we saw Bruce Kozlov come out when Browning Nagel was felled with an injury.
Now, let me just bring up a question. We want to look at the injury one more time. My question is it a fumble? It was not ruled a fumble. There is the hit, and he is not down, and the ball is loose.
Well, he certainly did fumble, but a Seattle player was able to get on top of it. So either way, it doesn't matter.
There it is.
But the issue here is that, when I'm glad he's walking off. Hopefully that's just a sprain. I was trying to read the lips of the doctor there, and hopefully that's a degree sprain that doesn't have to be cut upon. And Stan Gelbaugh certainly hurting there, and hopefully he's going to be all right.
And it was Sean Farrell of the Seahawks who recovered the fumble at the 29-yard line.
You mentioned his resilience, and I was impressed by that. We addressed the point that Gelbaugh, somewhat of a journeyman, been bounced around the league. He was the MVP of the World League, of course, in the initial season there for the London Monarchs.
He's had 4 back-to-back seasons. London, Phoenix, London, and Seattle. Stauffer to Jones. Out to the 33-yard line. Clock is stopped with 14 seconds left in the first half. Anthony Bell
Raiders
tackle.
Los Angeles.
The Raiders are going to want to force Seattle to punt here. Seattle here is going to be content just to run out the clock if they can. A lot of beleaguered faces over there on the sideline. You know what? There's just some times when you got to feel snake bit. I mean, it's all well and good to talk about some of the difficulties they've had offensively, but look at all the people they keep running in. All the people that keep getting injured.
Lewis Clark is, is out with a fractured rib, and John Hunter went down with that sprained knee, and now Stan Gilbaugh is down with a knee.
Seems so unfair. So inequitable. I mean, for someone like Stan Gilbaugh, you know, he mentioned the difficulties that the team has been having, but he says, don't forget, this is my chance now. This is my opportunity. This is my chance to shine in the NFL. I've waited a long time for this, and now setback because of the injury to his knee.
3rd down and 12. The Raiders have 1 timeout remaining in the first half. The Seahawks have 1 timeout remaining. John L. Williams stays. McLaughlin with the tackle. The Raiders will take their last timeout.
Pretty impressive tackle there by number 91. You're right. He showed his strength. Very rarely do you see John L. Williams on his back in a tackle. Watch at the end of the play, the tackle 91 puts on 32. Granted, Williams is making a cut, but remember, this is a 230-pound man that number 91 puts on his backside right there. As you mentioned, 6'4", 315 pounds. Been plagued by a sprained foot this season. That's why he hasn't been able to get in the playing time he'd like. But Art Shell giving him some playing time here, and he certainly is under one of the great mentors, his defensive lineman, and Earl Leggett, former player of the New Orleans Saints and the Chicago Bears.
It'll be 4th down and 9 with 8 seconds left to go in the first half. Tim Brown is the returner. Rick Tootin the kicker.
Chester McLaughlin, we should mention, from Clemson, has produced a couple of pretty good defensive tackles by the name of Perry.
Yes.
And the one who's actually the better player is not the most famous, strangely enough. William and Mike and Dean.
The other Perry.
The other Perry. I don't think he is anymore.
No, I think you're right. Here's the kick. Tim fumbles it, and he will recover it at the 25-yard line. And with that play, the first half expires. At halftime, the score, the Los Angeles Raiders 13, the Seattle Seahawks nothing, and we'll be back after this with NFL Live after these messages from your local station.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
OJ is here. So too is Will McDonough. We'll hear from them momentarily. To the scoreboard first in the game you folks are watching. The Raiders with a 13-0 lead over the Seahawks at the half. New Orleans in a battle of 7-2 teams, leading at Candlestick 10-7 over the 49ers. The lead in the NFC West is at stake. The 49ers beat the Saints at the Superdome early in the year on a Sunday night. The Rams are in front at Dallas 14-13. Dallas has won 11 consecutive home games. They're 8-1. LA has lost 12 consecutive road games. They're 3-6, but it's 14-13 Rams at this point just before halftime. Oh, Mike Ditka is not going to be a happy man as he heads for the locker room to talk to his club. The Buccaneers in front of the Bears, 20-0 at the half. Chicago on their way to a record of 4-6, barring a rally in Tampa Bay. Now, these are games from earlier today, and we'll take a look at some highlights. Houston upsets the Vikings at the Metrodome, 17-13. Early in the week, it looked like the season was falling apart for Jack Pardee's team, losers of 3 of 4. They were down 3-0 when the Vikings defense got it done. Warren Moon nailed by a blitzing Carlos Jenkins. He fumbles, and Anthony Parker picks it up, runs it in for the touchdown. Along the sideline, Moon trying to shake it off, and he did, as he was able to get them even at 10-all by halftime. He completed 7 straight on this late drive just before intermission. Ernest Givens for the touchdown with 10 seconds left, even at 10. Moon's problems, though, continued in the second half. His arm is hit by Chris Dolman. They rule it a fumble, not a pass. Dolman forces the fumble, and he recovers it. It leads to a field goal by Fuad Reveiz, and the Vikings lead 13-10. Late in the fourth quarter, Oilers driving. Moon avoids the rush, but he's popped by Vency Glenn at the Vikings 21. Moon came out of the game with a sprained left shoulder. He was replaced by Cody Carlson, who was able to take Houston down to the 1-yard line. There you see Moon going off, and then Carlson hands to Lorenzo White, who had better than 80 yards rushing today. That proves to be the winning TD. 17-13, the Oilers prevail. Kansas City and Washington are both 6-4. The Redskins are really sputtering these days. They were down 28-0 at halftime in this game. They lose 35-16. Christian Okoye pumped up for the contest, apparently, and in fact, he had 2 first-half touchdowns. This was the first of the pair from 2 yards out, 7-0 in favor of the Chiefs. First play following a Kansas City interception, early second quarter. Dave Craig will find his deep threat, Tim Barnett. The catch and run good for 44 yards, 14-0. Now, Joe Gibbs knew that his offense was having troubles. He never expected his defense to fold on him this way. Down by 4 touchdowns. They got back to 28-16, but that rally was snuffed out as the Chiefs got the insurance score they needed, a 35-yarder this time from Craig to Tim Barnett, and that makes it 35-16 and turns out to be the final score. Green Bay defeats Philadelphia at County Stadium in Milwaukee 27-24. A topsy-turvy game. Randall Cunningham back in at quarterback. Jim McMahon giving him some advice on the sideline. McMahon, of course, quarterbacked them to victory a week ago against the Raiders. Now, here's Cunningham in the fourth quarter as the Eagles try and come back. He dumps it off to Heath Sherman. Good blocking, good run. It covers 75 yards. And watch at the end. The old straight arm. Don't see it too much these days. In for the touchdown, and they trail by 4, 21-17. Then they take the lead as Herschel Walker will not be stopped. Watch this. At the 5-yard line, a couple of guys look like they have him wrapped up, and he will shake them off. And in he goes for the TD that gives them the lead. But the game was tied at 24, less than a minute to go. They were content to sit on the ball and take their chances in overtime deep in their own territory. But Walker fumbled and Johnny Holland recovered for the Packers. That set up this Chris Jackie field goal, which is right down the middle and perfect from 41 yards out. And the Pack wins it 27-24 for a very happy Mike Holmgren. So now here are the Eagles, 6-4 for the year. At one point, after they won that Monday night game against Dallas, they were 4-0 and appeared to be invincible. They were the odds-on choice to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, but things have unraveled since then, and they have lost 4 of 6. Now, Juice, what are your thoughts on the strategy by Rich Kotite late in the game? The score is tied, and he seems content to say, look, we're too deep in our own territory. We'll settle for overtime, but Walker fumbled.
Well, I disagree with Will on this one. Will believes that they did the right thing. I can't believe that. This is not a veer offense. This is not college football. This is the NFL. You got a quarterback that was MVP a few years ago. He's there. You got 50 seconds to play. You got a chance to win the football game. You don't sit on the football and hope you win the toss and get the first shot at winning the game in overtime. I think it's a little too conservative for the NFL, and if you play like that, you're not going to see the playoffs this year.
Willie?
Well, that's why he's on the show, Bob, and he's not coaching, because you've got to look at it this way. Philadelphia is supposed to have the best defense in pro football, according to many people, right? So they say, in overtime, even if Green Bay wins the toss, we got a great chance of stopping them. We get the ball, we kick the field goal and win, okay? If it's the other way, if Green Bay, if you get the kickoff, you could march down and do it and win, okay? And even if that doesn't work, you get a tie. And a tie for Philadelphia right now is very, very important when you come down to the tiebreakers at the end of the year.
Sports writers, they don't know, man. That's why the players don't talk to them. They don't know. And would Elway sit on it? Would Montana sit on it? Would Marino sit on it?
But that's just the point. At this juncture of this season, maybe not in the future, maybe not in the past, but maybe Rich Kotite is saying Randall Cunningham at this point is not Marino, Montana, or Elway right now.
Well, if he listened to sports writers, he'd learn what the game was all about, because obviously he hasn't thought it out.
Well, you'll have to listen to this sportscaster to learn the rest of the scores. So in that sense, I hold the upper hand. Pittsburgh defeated Detroit 17-14. So Pittsburgh is now 7-3. Snow falling on Wayne Fonts, and his season has already fallen down the drain. His team is now 2-8. Here is Barry Foster. He becomes the league's first rusher to reach 1,000 yards for the season on this 21-yard gallop. He had over 100 yards for the day. Barry Sanders put Detroit ahead on the first play of the fourth quarter, going in from a yard out. That gave the Lions a 14-10 lead. 90 yards plus rushing today for Barry Sanders. With under 4 minutes remaining, Rod Woodson crushes Eric Kramer on a blitz. It causes a fumble. Carnell Lake, the safety, picks it up, returns it to the 3-yard line. Bubby Brister in at that point for an injured Neil O'Donnell. Hits a wide-open Tim Jordan from a yard out on the play-action pass. 17-14 lead, 17-14 final. The Steelers over the Lions. San Diego won a good one today at Cleveland. Both these teams are now 5-5. The Chargers have won 5 out of their last 6 after losing their first 4 under the new head coach Bobby Ross. 14-13 was the final today. Mike Tomczak's pass here is intercepted by Darren Carrington. He goes 71 yards to the Cleveland 26. Then 3 plays after that interception in the first quarter, Stan Humphries will step up and he'll find Sean Jefferson. The 26-yard TD makes it 7-0 San Diego. The Browns in the fourth quarter, trailing 7-3, capped a 99-yard drive. Tomczak stepping up away from the rush, throws on the run. Michael Jackson, nice catch, 24-yard TD, 10-7. Late fourth quarter, Humphreys will hit Anthony Miller down the middle for the go-ahead TD. It covers 45 yards. The extra point actually won it, 14-13, and the Chargers go to 500 once again. The Jets took a 17-0 lead at home. Cincinnati scored twice in the fourth quarter. Jets hold on to win 17-14. Jets 3-7. Cincy 4 up and 6 down. Atlanta on Norm Johnson's 35-yard field goal with 50 seconds remaining defeats Phoenix at the Georgia Dome 20-17. And the Patriots will not go through the season without a victory. They're now 1-9. They won in overtime today at the Hoosier Dome against the Colts. The Colts have now lost 3 in a row, and they're banged up. So what appeared to have a chance to be a promising season when they were 4-3 after the win at Miami now is unraveling on them a bit, and they heard the boos today when they became the Patriots' first victim in OT, 37-34. And it was Scott Zolak, the third-string quarterback, rookie out of Maryland, with Hodson and Millen both hurt, who came in and played the whole game and did very, very well at QB today for the Patriots as they notched the victory. Closing thoughts here, Juice?
I think San Diego is a team to watch at this point. They're 5-5. They're playing great football, second in the league in defense. And just, I think in the 6 games they have to play, none of the teams have winning records. I think San Diego will be in the playoffs and quite possibly win the West.
Bob, they might lose a little luster for the game, the win by Houston. They said in the press conference after the game that Warren Moon, who left with a sprained left shoulder, might have a broken bone in that shoulder. And if he does, that could not be good for the Oilers going down the stretch trying to get into the playoffs.
And would leave it up to Cody Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are going where? Back to... I'm just getting the information I need, folks. Bear with me here. We're going to go back to the field. But first, this word from your local stations.
Today on NBC, you have seen the snow in Cleveland. You've been indoors in Minneapolis, and now it is balmy here in Southern California, just the way that it's supposed to be. This is Charlie Jones and Todd Christensen. The Raiders up 13-0. Can Seattle get anything going in the second half?
Well, you know, it's almost as Murphy's Law applies here. It's just unbelievable coming into the game, not only 1-8 and having problems offensively with the injuries. Now 3 starters go out. Hunter at guard, Clark at wide receiver, now Gelbaugh at quarterback. Kelly Stauffer's going to be hard-pressed because naturally, you know, the defensive linemen of the Raiders are going to have their ears pinned back. It's going to be a rough go for him in the second half.
And also with Clark out, he is the best receiver that they have. Now they're down, as you mentioned in the first half, to only 3 wide receivers.
Well, that limits what they can do offensively. Their packages have to be limited in terms of the 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. We're going to see a lot more of James Jones, the tight end, and probably some throws to John L. Williams, but I don't know that that's going to be enough. I think the statistic that stands out here is the first down. Seattle just unable to move the sticks thus far with only 4 first downs in the first half, only 1 in the second quarter.
And these, of course, are the official Keystone Light halftime statistics. Time of possession about the same. Turnover is the same. Total yardage not that much difference. You pointed out the first down. 13-0. Schrader to Horton, a 9-yard touchdown pass, and Jeff Jager with a pair of field goals of 47 and 43 yards. Good news, Dan Gelbaugh, strained knee. He will not be back in this game, but boy, that is good news. Strained knee.
Well, certainly the effort that he's made to get to this point, you know, his persistence over the years, getting cut and waived and having to earn his stripes in an inferior league. You got to give him a lot of credit just for being here. And that's good that it's not going to require surgery.
And we open the second half with Alexander Wright returning the kickoff. He fumbles the ball, a scramble for it at the 19-yard line. And the Raiders have it. I believe it was Andrew Glover who fell on it. Rod Stevens made the hit for Seattle. And the Raiders will open up the second half leading 13-0. And the officials are going to spot the ball at the just inside the 20-yard line, and another Seahawk has been injured.
Well, now that's
Rob Thomas. He is the 3rd wide receiver, and so Seattle will now be down to 2 wide receivers.
Goodness.
Tommy Kane and David Daniels.
Gelbaugh with a little bit of a limp with the pads off. Nice to see that he could smile somewhat.
When we asked him how was he doing yesterday, and I imagine if we asked him now, he would say the same thing. He said, I'm basically okay.
He didn't care to elaborate, as I recall.
No, and
in fact,
he wasn't limping either.
I said, what do you mean by basically okay?
Yeah. I know the fact that it is a strain and not and the knee is not torn apart, so we can have a little levity in regard to it. But
Rob Thomas, of course, wide receiver, excellent possession receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, but during Marty Schottenheimer told us that they just like their young receiving core, and so he was let go, picked up on waivers by the Seahawks. Done a good job in the 3 and 4 receiver sets.
Nice looking young man.
Wanting to know where he is. He's got that look on his face, yes. Mumbling.
Yes.
Not exactly sure.
Is this the Kingdom? No? Okay.
Here he is right here. Take a look at Rob Thomas here at the end of the play. What happens? Aaron Wallace has him. He's the one that puts the hit right there, but see the head as it hits the hip. If we can bring it back just a little bit, you'll see that head hit the hip. Watch as the head bounces back right here. You're going to see that. Watch his head. Pow.
Ooh, yes. No.
That's where the collision, he's not sure where he is right now, but thankfully he is walking off, and I would guess after they do the how many fingers and get those smelling salts under his nose, he'll be back.
There was a great line recently. They said, what day is it? He said it's the 5th, and somebody else said, no, it's the 4th. He said, that's close enough. Get him.
I actually remember a game, this is a true story, Charlie. I got hit like that, and things went black. And I remember I was on all fours, and I didn't know where I was. I put my hand down and felt, and it was AstroTurf on my palm. And that clicked something in my head, and I go, football game. Oh, yeah. That's a true story. I mean, that's how loony you can get. I mean, you can really take some shots.
First down from the 20-yard line. Straight to the throw, far side, pass is high. Tim Brown comes down with it, and he's out to the 26-yard line, maybe the 25. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
When you think about it, coming into this game, Tim Brown was the leading receiver for the Raiders with 20 catches in this day and age of receivers threatening the 100 reception mark and run and shoots. You think that obviously that's not a really large total, but he certainly makes the most of it. Every 5 catches, I believe he gets a touchdown.
Yes. We talked to him about the chatter between those that are playing or those that are producing and those that are not producing on a Raider team that is struggling. He said sometimes you just say, he said, I want to say, shut up and make a big play, and then we can all talk about it. Here's Eric Dickerson, right side.
Yeah, it's funny, Charlie. I remember that when I was playing, you'd collide and go out of bounds, and the guys who were the biggest talkers inevitably were the guys that weren't playing, probably because they had the most energy.
That's right.
But his point is well taken. When things are struggling, you're 3 and 6. The expectations, of course, for this team were a lot higher. Mm-hmm. He says it's time to stop verbalizing. You know, let's give that a rest. Enough with the superficial chatter. Mm-hmm. You guys that are running your mouths, you know, put it on the field.
3rd down and 3. Raiders at their own 27-yard line, opening drive of the second half.
He was quite candid. He was also saying that thank God that we're in the worst division in football because we still have a shot at the playoffs. He didn't candy coat it.
Raiders stands in, passes complete over the middle. First down to Steve Smith. Raiders now out to their own 42-yard line, a gain of 15 yards on the play and a first down, with Greg Clark making the tackle. No, it was Rufus Porter making the tackle.
Delay situation right to the right of your screen. Steve Smith gives him an out move, and Rufus Porter buys it. Usually in that situation, Rufus Porter is in a pass rushing mode, but they had him man for man on Smith out of the backfield, and they paid the price.
Raiders at their own 42-yard line, comfortably in front by a score of 13-0.
Back in 1988, Steve Smith had 8 touchdown catches. He was somebody who was very valuable coming out of the backfield.
A chance for you now to check out the 10-minute ticker, all of the scores in the NFL. And we've had an interesting day in the National Football League. Steve Smith, the intended receiver, will be 2nd down and 10, back at the 42-yard line.
This is one of those very extremely, undeniably tired cliches that anybody can win on any given Sunday.
This is given Sunday.
More than any time, I think, in 1992 that I can remember over the last 5 or 6 years, this has been appropriate.
Usually the second Sunday before Thanksgiving is the given Sunday.
Well, no, where's the empirical proof of that?
How do I know?
No, but
it's in the Old Farmer's Almanac. Reader's Digest said so. Second down and 10. Raider wide open is Tim Brown.
Complete to Tim Brown.
And he'll be stopped at the 49-yard line, so he picks up 7. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Tim tried to make more out of that than was there. Watch again. Earlier we had the same situation. Delay route right in the middle. Now if he just cuts upfield, he gets the first down. But he wants to break the big one. But Blackman says, I don't think so. Pins him to the ground, and now instead of the first down, the Raiders come up 3rd and 3.
12 minutes, 22 seconds. Time remaining, 3rd quarter here in the Coliseum in Los Angeles on a warm, sunny afternoon. Marcus Allen is into the 3rd down offense for the Raiders.
Drop play would be interesting here.
Raider has pressure. And it is incomplete. He underthrows Horton. In reality, he was just avoiding the loss.
This is a bad job here by Jay Schrader. Up to this point, he's been doing a pretty good job. He's had some drop passes, some miscues. But watch here as he backpedals. This is where he should have turned around and started to run or stepped up in the pocket. Look as he backpedals right here. There's just no way that he can get anything on that ball. And really, that protection wasn't that bad. If he's able to step up in the pocket and deliver the ball, he might get the first down.
4th down, and Jeff Gossett will be kicking to Chris Ward.
Interesting statistic with regards to Jeff Gossett. Pro Bowl punter last year, consensus All-Pro. This season, Charlie, with the average you saw today, throughout the entire season, he has had only 1 touchback. That's a punter with some touch.
He goes for the corner. He drives this one.
And there's number 2.
There's number 2 into the end zone.
Never fails.
You had to bring it up.
Never fails.
It'll be your fault. We'll be back in just a moment.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Hertz's Fastest Service, now in more locations coast to coast. By Cold Filtered Keystone, Keystone Light and Keystone Dry. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? By Prestone, it stops the rust that stops your car. And by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Here is Rob Thomas. He was dinged earlier in the ballgame. The report, slight concussion, however doubtful that he will return today. So that means that Tommy Kane and David Daniels, with Lewis Clark out with that cracked rib, are now the 2 wide receivers. And here's Chris Warren from the 20-yard line out to the 25. A gain of 5. Willie Broughton with the tackle. It'll be 2nd and 5. Looking down from the MetLife booth. Well, this is a beautiful sight. This is a pretty good crowd. They did not expect that great a crowd for this ball game. This is a tremendous stadium. All of the history here. Originally built back in 1927 for a fiesta, and expanded for the Olympic Games in 32, and of course the Olympic Games here in 84.
Wait, built for a fiesta? That was some
all-city fiesta.
That was some big family.
Big fiesta. Coliseum history as Jael Williams picks up the first down as he goes to the 31-yard line. Ronnie Lott with the tackle along with Lionel Washington.
Only the 5th first down of the game for the Seahawks, and maybe if they can pound a little bit in the middle, they can go with some play action. I think that's what they have to be looking at here, because their straight drop back package, as we mentioned, limited now that they only have 2 wide receivers.
Kelly Stafford, the quarterback for the Seahawks. In case you're not with us near the end of the first half, Stan Gelbaugh went down with a strained knee. And the Seahawks trail by a score of 13 to 0. 10.5 minutes left to go in the 3rd. And here's Chris Warren. 33-yard line. Broughton again after a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
Assisted by Aaron Wallace.
Ray Roberts asserting himself at left tackle. Tom Flores told us with each game he's getting better and better, trying to get that backside, pushing Winston Moss off. Little hand fighting there, and at the end, Moss grabbing the face mask. Hey, don't do that, he says.
And welcome to the NFL. He told us that each week the man I'm across from, he says, I think he's an all-pro. I didn't know there were that many.
Well, and the truth is he is.
He is.
Leslie O'Neal, Pro Bowler. Derek Thomas, Pro Bowler. Lawrence Taylor, of course. Greg Townsend. Brian Cox leading the AFC in sacks. A certain Pro Bowler this year. Charles Haley, of course, and Wilbur Marshall in the skin. That's a who's who.
The ball is loose. It is still loose. Now scramble for it at the 10-yard line. The Raiders end up with the football. Following the Seattle fumble. It is Aaron Wallace Flores, who recovers the fumble, number 51.
Well, Aaron Wallace is also the man that comes in on the sack. Ron Heller, the tight end, does a poor job of keeping him out. And remember, Aaron Wallace was a pass rush specialist for the Raiders 2 years ago, gaining 9 sacks in 1990. And now in the foray for the ball, you can see on the ground there Ray Roberts and Greg Townsend going at it. He comes from the blind side and the ball comes loose. Watch, number 51 is going to come up from the pile and pursue it. Now right here, he blows it. He's saying to himself, I got a touchdown here. I can just pick it up. Oh, doggone it. The ball comes back to him. Big turnover for the Raiders now. Set up shop at the 7.
First down, goal to go. Dickerson to the 3-yard line. And a flag is down. Now you got a face mask right at the end against Eugene Robinson.
I thought that was cute, his reaction. He's pointing, saying, no, my hands came off. Honest. That was cute if you saw his face.
You know something? We've not had a lot of flags today.
Face mask. Defense. 29. Penalize half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
So Eugene was legit in his complaint. Eric Dickerson, of course, always a little bit of suspense here for the Raiders. Who's going to get their touchdown? Because, and the reason I said there's the face mask right at the end, because both Eric Dickerson and Marcus Allen are a little ways away from 100 touchdowns. Dickerson with 95 and Marcus Allen with 97.
First down and goal to go. The ball just inside the 2-yard line. And the Raiders with a chance to put this one away. And here's Dickerson. He cuts back and drives into the end zone. Tua Tagovailoa tried to stop him. I tried to stop Tua Tagovailoa. Not to Tua Tagovailoa. He takes him right into the end zone, doesn't he?
Dickerson with his 96th career touchdown, sweep right, meets him right there at the 1-yard line, but he keeps the leg driving, and as you say, not to Tua Tagovailoa, not a match for him. Horton with the block out front. Good job there by Steve Smith. That's the block that got him in the end zone. Good job by 35.
And for Eric Dickerson, his 3rd touchdown of the season. Jeff Jager to attempt the point after. And it is good. So with 9:11 left in the 3rd, the Raiders lead it 20-0. Welcome back to Los Angeles as we look down on the Coliseum for the MetLife Blimp. The MetLife Blimp is one of the world's largest airships, measuring 194 feet in length. It is 67 feet high. Oh, what a nice afternoon in Southern California. And a nice afternoon for the Los Angeles Raiders as they lead the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 20-0 with 9 minutes and 11 seconds left to go in the 3rd. Jager, it is high and short. It is taken at the 15-yard line by Reuben Mays. And Mays is going to return it to about the 23, maybe the 24-yard line.
Step back.
And Seattle will try once again to see if they can get any semblance of an offense moving for them. Boy, it is hard to do. Their possessions will give you an idea of the tenure of the offense. 5 and punt, 3 and punt, 8 and the missed field goal, 3 and out, 3 and out, 4 downs, 4 and punt, 3 and the fumble. Boy, it is hard though. I mean, it is hard to do it with a mixed master offensive line of players in and out, and now you lose the quarterback and offensive guard, 2 wide receivers. And still, you just got to hang in. Seattle first down at their own 24-yard line. As Chris Warren gets the call, Nolan Harrison with the tackle. Coming into the ball game, the Seahawks with a record of 1-8, and the Raiders with a record of 3-6. These two teams, you may recall, met 3 weeks ago in the Kingdom, and the Raiders shut out Seattle 19-0 in that ball game, and they lead 20-0 here with 8.5 minutes to go in the 3rd.
One of the phrases that we have listened to from a number of coaches throughout the year is a thing called body English. And And one of the things that we see right now is Kelly Stauffer is thrown down by Willie Broughton. Is the fact that you can see amongst the Seattle players a certain, I don't know what the phrase is necessarily. I don't want to say give up, because that's not it. It's just frustration.
It's the inevitable. Jim Eddy, of course, the defensive coordinator of the Houston Oilers. Those of you may have seen him earlier today. You know, he is so excitable, but he looks for the body English of their opponents, and to get a clue of whether they're up or down or how they're feeling about themselves.
And as you had a chance to look at the myriad of faces on the Seattle sidelines, you can see the frustration over the inevitability and the difficulty of, in a lot of cases, coming into gunplay with no guns blazing.
Yeah. Stauffer rolls out, a little pump fake. He throws it, and it is caught, but it will come up a yard shy of the first down. Ron Heller, the receiver, Aaron Wallace with the tackle, and it's going to be 4th down and 1. And John Casey would come in to kick it away.
And a good effort by Stauffer in the middle of the field. Here he scrambles out. Watch Heller at the top of your screen. Man-for-man coverage with Wallace. Finally spins around and shakes himself open. Stauffer finds him, but as you mentioned, just a little bit short. If he could have stretched to the line, he'd have had it.
And so on 4th down, Rick Tootin will be kicking, and Tim Brown is the return man. Good catch.
You got time! You got time!
Tim backs up to the 15-yard line. Sets the tackle. Flag is down on the play. He returns 10 yards to the 25, but a flag back at the 30-yard line. 52 yards on the kick. That 10-yard return, if it stands. And remember, it was 4th down and 1.
Middle of the field, the center was double teamed by David Jones and Elvis Patterson. A lot of collisions going on. I believe they're going to call that against the Raiders. And if that was before the punt, then of course Seattle will have the first down. That's the debate right now amongst the officials, is whether or not it happened before the kick.
We had holding, number 52. After the kick, this is a post-possession foul. We will penalize 10 yards from the dead ball spot.
If it had been before the kick, then it would have gone back to the previous spot or the previous line of scrimmage. We've got a timeout. 7:15 left to go. We're in the 3rd quarter. Back in a moment. Next Sunday, an NFL doubleheader here on NBC. Houston, their record now is 6-4. They beat the Vikings today. Miami plays tomorrow night against Buffalo. Their record right now is 7-2. Cleveland, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. The second half of the doubleheader, most of the country. Denver here against the Raiders, and Todd and I will be back for that one. And that should really be a good ball game. Denver, of course, plays later on this afternoon. Here the Raiders comfortably in front of Seattle with 7:15 to go in the 3rd. The score of 20-0. Jay Schrader has been the quarterback for the Raiders today. But today's game really hasn't solidified anything.
No, I don't think there's been any questions answered at all. That is their future right there, Todd Marinovich, but he has struggled over the last couple of weeks. And I think that it says something about Art Shell's confidence in the team in general. You know, it could have been easy to give up on the season and stay with the young quarterback and just let him do whatever it is he wants to do, you know, knowing that we can say, well, we'll give him some time to develop. We're not going to make the playoffs. Instead, at 3-6, they pulled him, put Schrader back in with the knowledge that a veteran quarterback, somebody who's been around the block, is going to give us a much better chance of making the playoffs than the youngster.
Now, with the victory today, the Raiders' record would go to 4-6. Who do they have remaining? Interesting. They have a tough road. Possibly one of the most difficult remaining schedules in the National Football League. We'll look at that for you in just a moment. The ball at the 13-yard line, and it's going to be 2nd down and 5. Horton comes in motion. Little play action fake by Schrader, and he goes deep into double coverage. Almost intercepted. Seattle had a shot for the interception. Horton, the intended receiver. And it was Joe Kane for the Seahawks.
Well, Patrick Hunter is back in his zone coverage, and this is an absolute duck. He should have had this easily. Number 27 instead goes through his arms and actually almost sticks with Ethan Horton, who Joe Kane had in man-for-man coverage.
The remaining schedule that we were talking about, Denver next week. Their record is 6-3. They play later on today. San Diego won The division games, Denver, San Diego, Kansas City, and San Diego again. That is here on the 20th. We'll come back to that to discuss those numbers on the right-hand side. It is 3rd down and 5. The ball at the 13-yard line. The flag is down. Schrader is close to the first down, but they can well call holding on the Raiders. That's normally what happens when the umpire throws that flag. Robinson and Glasgow make the stop. It will go against Los Angeles. Let's go back to that schedule, and then we'll update you on the call. Pay attention to the numbers on the right-hand side. And that is Denver with a winning schedule, San Diego at 500, Kansas City above 500, Miami at 7-2, San Diego the second time, and then Washington with a record of 6-4. That is a tough remaining schedule.
It is, and it's
another point. December the 14th at Miami, that's a Monday night game. And December the 26th is a Saturday game. So it's at Miami on a Monday night, back to the Coliseum the following Sunday for San Diego on the 20th, then back on the day after Christmas at Washington for a Saturday game.
Yeah, 3 games in 12 days. That is a rough road to hoe. And the long flights.
Lots of time zones.
Yeah, and that's difficult, particularly going west to east. East to west, you know, you pick up the hours. Going west to east is very difficult. So the Raiders' chances of making the playoffs right now do appear slim.
But if they do make them, then my mind is wandering. Marcus Allen gets the call, and he wanders out to the 10-yard line, and now we've got a fight at the 15. This may be just simply the frustration of a Seahawk ball club that is battling its hearts out. You know, obviously overmanned and losing several players in this ballgame.
A small but somewhat maybe insignificant point here.
No point is insignificant.
No, but I mean, think about this on that carry. Here it is, you're trying to get rid of the ball, and who comes in to do that meaningless chore? Number 32, Marcus Allen. Would you have ever imagined at this point in his career that he'd be doing things like that, to come in and take a carry in that particular situation?
Nobody does, and he does it well.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the offense. Penalties are offset. 4th down.
That's fine with me.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm just saying that, you know, a player of his caliber, number 32, Marcus Allen, arguably the greatest player ever to wear the silver and black, now in a situation where he's in effect listed on the depth chart as 3rd string. You wonder, you know, what the thinking is where that's concerned. An interesting point, Charlie, that you and I actually talked about is Jeff Gossett gets the punt off. I'll finish it after this fair catch. Is it 5 years ago you'd have said Marcus Allen was a lock for the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Now, after these last 5 years, who knows?
I hope he still is. He deserves it. We've got a timeout. We'll step aside. Back in a moment. Patrick Hunter, the starting right cornerback of the Seattle Seahawks, was shaken up on that last play. He comes out. That's a half a dozen Seahawks that have been lost in the ballgame. You know, they're going to be dropped by the insurance carrier.
I can't help but think that if Seattle began the 1992 season with Lloyd's of London, they'd be raking in some serious cash about now, wouldn't they?
They would have Big Ben, the tower.
Oh,
they'd
man.
have it all. Oh, yeah.
They would.
Oh, he is hurting. These are the injuries today. Lewis Clark, John Hunter, Gilbaugh, Rob Thomas, Toffemeyer, Patrick Hunter. And the Seahawks have to try it one more time from their own 45-yard line. 5.5 minutes left to go in the 3rd. As Chris Warren pops to the outside. And he's going to lose a couple of yards on the play. Aaron Wallace, who recovered the fumble at the 7-yard line, is the man who makes the stop.
Chris Warren, heading into this game, had over 1,000 yards of all-purpose yards. Impressive in terms of his versatility. And again, Tom Flores talks about that he really believes that this is a star of the future, especially when he's going to be able to run behind something that's not a makeshift line. And one of the bright spots for the Seattle Seahawks, when we talked to Tom Flores, this is the first man that he mentioned. 2nd down and 12 after that loss of 2. Stoffer going deep, and it is incomplete. Tommy Kane, the intended receiver. Lionel Washington with the coverage. It'll be 3rd down and 12 back at the 43-yard line. The little pat on the head there by Lionel Washington says a lot. And what it means is, in effect, boy, I kind of feel sorry for you guys. If we're able to catch it at the end, actually, this is catchable. It's there on the hands, goes right through the hands. Actually, a pretty good throw by Stauffer. And right at the end, if you saw it earlier, number 48 is going to get up. And instead of, you know how you see those guys collide sometimes and push one another, number 48, Lionel Washington, just pats him on the back of the head and says, tough going, partner.
The Seahawks have been held to only 2 rushes for more than 5 yards today. It's 3rd down and 12. And they're only 1 of 9 third down conversions. And we mentioned the fact that the Raiders will host Denver next week. Will the Seattle Seahawks return home to the Kingdom? They will be hosting the Kansas City Chiefs next Sunday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it doesn't get any easier. We're going to step aside with a timeout. Raiders lead it 20-0. This is Bob Golick. He is one of the inactives today for the Raiders.
And also one of the players for the Raiders, a little bit older. Great hair, though.
Yes.
Nice coiffure. I like that. Tough to get all that off the helmet, though.
Stauffer has protection, tries to throw underneath the coverage. It was 3rd and 12, so it'll be 4th down. Aaron Wallace was there for the Raiders. Heller, the intended receiver. Back to Bob Golick.
Former Pro Bowl defensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns, inactive. He is one of the players for the Raiders over 30 years of age. That is the most of anybody in the National Football League.
That's 21 out of 47 on the squad.
And that's many people feel part of the problem in terms of the Raiders. They need to replenish that supply with some younger talent, because you just can't keep getting by on reputation in terms of guys who, in some cases, the people that they acquire, their best years have been behind them.
Rick Tootin will be kicking. Tim Brown is the return man.
You got it!
Fair catch, and he takes it at the 20-yard line. So with 4 minutes and 26 seconds left to go in the third, following that 37-yard kick, the Raiders will have a first down. And a program note: next Saturday, get ready to watch the top triathletes from around the world as they test their endurance in the 15th Ironman triathlon. 15th. Boy, how time goes by. Remember the first couple that they had? That is a day of grueling competition, a 2.4-mile ocean swim, a 112-mile bike race, and if that's not enough, a full 26-plus marathon to the finish line. The Gatorade Ironman Triathlon, that is next Saturday here on NBC at 4 o'clock.
You know, the first 4 that I ran in, you're right. I remember that was quite a while ago.
Not. Eric Dickerson from the 20-yard line, and he'll go out to the 26. It'll be 2nd down and 4. Jeff Bryan with the tackle.
It seems strange to see him in a black jersey.
It does.
A little bit.
It does.
I mean, after all those years of seeing that, he's got his standard attire, though. The elbow pads, the neck brace, his glasses, and everything else. But I guess I'm so used to seeing that in blue and gold, it seems strange.
Here is good news for the Seattle Seahawks. Number 27 at right corner, Patrick Hunter, is back in the ball game. There he is. 2nd down and 4. And we have some jumping and contact. It'll be encroachment called against the Seahawks, and that is moving across the neutral zone and making contact prior to the ball being snapped. The caveat, of course, is if you're pulled off.
The caveat?
Yes.
Ah, very good. Yeah.
I'm working on it. Don't know what it means.
Encroachment, defense, number 92, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's on David Wyman. And the 5-yard penalty, it was 2nd down and 4, so it'll be a first down for the Raiders at the 31-yard line.
Interesting. David Wyman, leading tackler for the Seattle Seahawks, was 70 coming into the game. No, he meant 72. He meant Joe Nash, because you can see 92 standing still. Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. I thought, boy, very strange a middle linebacker would get that. But, of course, he didn't.
First down, Los Angeles. Dickerson to the right side. And he is taken out of bounds. Near the 35-yard line.
Nesby Glasgow, reserve safety, got his foot stepped on. He was standing over there looking at it. He was standing there, and he actually caught Eric Dickerson at the end of the play, and Dickerson stepped on his foot. He said, man, he says, team guys on Seattle can get hurt on the sidelines, for goodness sakes. Watch at the tail end of the run. Watch when he gets pushed over. Watch Glasgow right there. Ouch! Ouch! He gets stepped on. His foot gets stepped on.
He's
and he's
there.
limping around. Oh, man. Oh, tough being a Seattle Seahawk, boy.
It is this year.
Oh, boy.
2nd down and 7. We're moving on the 3-minute mark. Time remaining in the 3rd. Raiders lead it by a score of 20-0. In and out of the arms of Steve Smith. It'll be 3rd down and 7. What happens in a situation like that when the pass is right on the mark and you just can't hold on to it?
I'm sorry to laugh. It's frustrating. But when you're up 20-0, Steve Smith on just the circle route coming out, he's going to come across from the right of your screen right there. It hits his thigh pad and ricochets up. And I think the frustration, Charlie, is because Steve Smith doesn't get that many opportunities to get his hands on the ball. And so every chance he gets, he wants to take advantage of it.
3rd down and 7, 35-yard line. Ready to go. Here comes a safety blitz. Steps away from it, and the next man gets it.
And that's Cortez Kennedy with his 8.5 sack. And both he and Rufus Porter will argue when they come off the field who got there first. Cortez Kennedy been having to deal with the double team all day. There it is again.
Here comes Eugene Robinson with the safety blitz.
But once Schrader comes outside, there's Kennedy waiting for him.
Back to the 26-yard line.
4th down and 16, back on the 26-yard line. So Jeff Gossett will be kicking to Chris Warren.
Saw the numbers today. A lot of times for a defensive tackle, the numbers don't tell the whole story. You can wreak a lot of havoc in there without making tackles and assists, and that's exactly what Kennedy's done today.
Warren takes it at the 33-yard line. He is to the 40 and will be taken out of bounds just across the 40-yard line. Now for an update, let's go to New York and Bob Costas. Bob?
Charlie, the Oilers beat the Vikings today 17-13, but in the process, after this nifty 5-yard scramble that sustained their game-winning drive, they lost Warren Moon, hit by Vincey Glenn. He fractures his upper left arm. He's expected to miss 3 to 6 weeks, and now it's up to Cody Carlson. Charlie?
Thank you, Bob. 3 to 6 weeks, that takes you right to the end of the season.
Well, this really accentuates the point that coaches throughout the league have told us, and that is you really do need 2 quarterbacks. And Charlie, if you recall 2 years ago, the last game of the season, you know, when Warren Moon broke his thumb, Cody Carlson had to come in against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the Monday night and led them to the playoffs. So they certainly have a competent player in Carlson. In fact, as you mentioned, he's the one that led them to their winning drive today against the Vikings anyway. And 2 weeks ago, if you recall, against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, he drove them all the way down the field, enabling Del Greco to kick what turned out to be the field goal that he missed. But he's been doing an outstanding job of engineering the Oilers in the absence of Moon when that time allows him.
Yeah, but you're really giving up a lot when you don't have Warren Moon in that particular offense, and any particular offense.
Oh, I agree. I mean, obviously, you know, Moon's one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the National Football League, but you certainly, the fall off, isn't as dramatic for the Houston Oilers as it is for some teams.
And here's Chris Warren, and that is the longest rush of the ball game for the Seattle Seahawks, 16 yards, and the first down for Seattle. As Bruce and Lott make the tackle.
Check the left side of the line for the Seattle Seahawks. Good job coming off. Ray Roberts pushes his man out. Good job by the center there to push Broughton to the left, and that enables Warren to cut back, and Ronnie Lott and Bruce downfield making the tackle. Snapping off the ball, pushing McLaughlin to the outside. Hey, there's the 2 first-rounders battling, and you'd have to say that Roberts got the best of that one.
He did. First down at the Raider 39-yard line. And then he comes again. Back-to-back first downs for Chris Warren. Eddie Anderson with the tackle, and flags go flying as tempers flare again.
Well, hopefully it'll be another situation where it's both sides, because certainly for Seattle, now that they've got those back-to-back excellent runs and are heading into scoring position, you'd like to think that they're not going to be set back just because of somebody losing their temper. What's wrong with these?
We have offsetting fouls, unnecessary roughness.
Good deal.
Against their defense, unnecessary roughness against the offense. Offset, first down.
I wonder what's wrong with Dick's thumb. You see the tape on his thumb there when he held that up?
Ball on the 25.
Maybe the injuries are spreading.
Yeah, it could be infectious. So, yeah.
The ball spotted at the 25-yard line. First down, Seattle. 48 seconds, time remaining, third quarter. Raiders lead at 20-0. Seahawks with an opportunity here. And Mays has about 3 yards. Broughton with the tackle.
Reuben Mays, former Pro Bowler for the New Orleans Saints, 1,000-yard rusher back-to-back seasons about 6 years ago, but he had Achilles tendon problems and really never was the same, and as a result the Saints released him. But he went through a real big rehab over the last year, got himself back in shape, and while he doesn't have the step that he once had when he was making all those carries for the Saints, he's still a competent back.
Second down and 7. Stopper throws under pressure. Pass is incomplete. He goes to John L. Williams, and with that play we come to the end of the third quarter. Raiders lead at 20-0, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Grant Fiesel is the center for the Seattle Seahawks, as the starting center Joe Toffelmeyer has a bruised leg, and he has been taken into to check that out, so he has joined the injury parade.
Thankfully for the Seahawks, though, Fiesel was the starter in '91. Toffelmeyer beat him out for '92, so they don't lose that much in experience.
Third down and 7. Here comes the blitz. Howie Long almost had the interception. His Staver hit him right between the 7 and the 5. Who was that, Ricky Ellison, that was pulling him down?
Well, actually, Stauffer lucked out here. Clearly, he's just trying to throw the ball away. Watch the rest. That's McLaughlin, once again, the first-round pick coming in. Ellison in on the blitz, as you mentioned. Now they're going to call in the grasp here, which I wonder if that would have been in the grasp if 75 would have caught the ball and gone the distance.
I didn't know there was in the grasp rule remaining. I thought they'd been taken off of the rule.
Well, that was curious because, as you mentioned, you know, we've watched so many times this season how this operates, and big smile on Ricky Ellison's face. He doesn't get that opportunity to blitz much and get the quarterback, but he did there.
Now, the line of scrimmage a moment ago was the 22-yard line. Now it's back to the 38-yard line.
And they'll take the
and Seattle wants to take a delay of the game. They'll probably refuse it because they want a little more room to drop a punt inside the 10-yard line. Decline.
Now, this is interesting. Sean Landetta, the punter for the Giants, made a point to me that a lot of people don't realize. He said, you know what? He says, make this akin to basketball. Do you think it's easier for me to kick the ball out of bounds from 35 yards away or 45 yards away? Of course it's easier from 35. And so the theory about giving yourself that extra 5 yards, he said, makes no sense. He says, it's much easier for me closer to the goal line than farther away.
Pitches this up for a catch. Is called for and taken at the 8-yard line. Tonight, it's a special 2-hour all-new eyewitness video starting at 6 Central Time. Incredible footage of a family trapped on a lake in the path of a raging tornado, plus a prison riot videotaped from the inside. Then Phil Donahue celebrates 25 years of television with a 2-hour primetime star-studded special, Donahue, the 25th anniversary. That's tonight at 8 Central here on NBC. And here on NBC, with 14 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the ball game, the Raiders are leading the Seahawks by a score of 20-0, and the Raiders have the ball at their own 8-yard line, first down.
This might be an interesting time, again, you know, depending upon what the Brain Trust is thinking. This would be a time, I think, to get some experience from Marinovich in a game where they're ahead. And, you know, if indeed that seems to be the issue.
Steve Smith with the call, Wyman with the tackle.
Now
I expect we'll see that.
Yeah, I was going to say with the 20-0 lead, this would be the time for him to warm up and get out there. Give him a chance to do some things in non-pressure situations that he's not had an opportunity to. Of course, a lot of people don't realize that right now would be his senior year at USC if he had stayed in college. And
this has been his home field.
And I was going to say, certainly the maturity factor is a variable that right now is not in his favor.
Raiders pass is incomplete at the 16-yard line. Ethan Horton, the intended receiver. David Wyman with the coverage. It'll be 3rd down and 9.
Well, for no other reason than, and you see the numbers there, Jay Schrader, but he's done enough for his team to win, or at least his defense has. You know, you look so many times, Charlie, we've done these games before, and they say, oh, you know, the quarterback should stay the whole time or whatever. And I don't get that. Where's that axiom? Kind of like the injured player who you know is not going to play but suits up anyway. Well, what's the sense in that? I've never understood that.
Well, and the other thing, you know, and we've seen it on the Seattle side, that anytime you play, you are risking injury in this game.
Sure.
And so you want to take some of those risks away. Third down.
Well, and again, the wrap, I come back to this, so if the wrap on Marinovich is getting experience, why not in a situation like this, give him that experience?
I imagine we'll see it. It is dropped. Barton had it and couldn't hold on to it. It'll be fourth down. Dodge had the cover for the Seattle Seahawks, so Jeff Gossett will be kicking.
There's no excuse. Middle of the field, wide open. Schrader puts it right on the numbers. A little behind, but that you got to catch that. Jay Schrader not too happy. He says, you know what, if you're going to abuse me about the numbers, please take into account the fact that I've got some guys that aren't coming up with the ball.
That's right. So Gossett will be kicking to Chris Warren.
Good kick.
Warren at the 46-yard line. He's to the 50. He goes out of bounds.
Chris Warren took the punt at the 45.
13 minutes, 19 seconds left to go in the ball game. 44-yard kick, 7-yard return. Back in a moment.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. By new Hager wrinkle-free cotton pants. 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. By Kentucky Fried Chicken. Nobody's cooking like today's KFC. And by the heartbeat of America, Chevrolet and your local Chevy dealer.
A little smoggy in the Los Angeles basin, but it does enhance the sunset.
Very picturesque.
Here's Kelly Stoffer. Seattle has the ball at the Raiders' 48-yard line, and they trail by a score of 20-0. And a moment ago, you saw the graphic where the Raiders now have shut out the Seahawks the last 9 quarters. Of course, they shut them out 3 weeks ago. They shut them out 3 quarters. Today, you go back to the last 2 quarters that they played last year. That's Chris Warren. Aaron Wallace was there for the Raiders. It'll be second down.
I would like to see them throw the ball there. Good field position on the 48-yard line. Give it a shot here. This is the time to, well, any time would have been the time to make hay, but instead Warren has a 2-yard loss, and now they're faced with 2nd and 12.
Warren now 14 carries, has rushed for 58 yards in the ball game. And John L. Williams. And he's going to pick up about 3 on the play to the 47. This may be SC and UCLA. This is being captured. That's the University of Southern California campus.
A little flag football going on there.
The alma mater of our producer, David Nee. Our director today is Dick Klein.
And my partner, Charlie Jones.
Yes. When I was there, those buildings did not exist.
Well, neither did electricity, so it evens out.
Yes. True. Close. As Orville Wilbur were telling me the other day. And here's the sack. Anthony Smith gets credit for the sack. And that will be his 10th of the year.
He looks really ecstatic, doesn't he? I think Anthony Smith's playing time has been limited. We haven't called his name much. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, he had 4 sacks against the Seahawks in the game earlier this season, in which they defeated the Seahawks 19-zip. And as you mentioned, that's his 10th sack of the season. Really showing a lot of people that he justified that first-round pick that the Raiders made of him in 1990.
Now, this is the 8th punt for the Seattle Seahawks. And that matches up statistically with a total of 8 completed passes. So the punts and the completions are the same. Fair catch is called for at the 20-yard line. 11:37 left to go. Raiders have the lead 20-0. We'll be back in a moment. That's serious competition across the street. On videotape, number 41, Eugene Robinson, the starting safety, one of the 2 starting safeties for the Seahawks, kind of grabbing his breath. When we talked to him yesterday, he had a very graphic description of what happens in this situation for Seattle.
Yeah, he said that, you get off the field, he goes out, he's going to get a drink, and then just about to do it, he hears, defense. Oh, okay.
That's right.
And off he goes.
Another 3 and out, and here we go, defense.
They've really had some problems this year. No doubt about it. I tell you what, though, that was some interception he made in the first half, number 41. What a catch he made. Very animated. Tough to let him go. The guy wanted to talk about everything.
And here is Nick Bell from the 20-yard line. He's going to lose a yard at least and maybe 2. Jeff Bryant is there.
Do you recall a team offhand that was successful with using 2 and 3 different backs in the tailback situation?
It's easier to, the quick answer is no, but I'd have to think about it.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. If just something came to mind.
No, I've thought about it.
Okay,
no.
and?
No, it is not one that jumps out at me.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, you go all the way back, and it seemed like that most Super Bowl, if not all, Super Bowl winners always had that one featured back, the guy that you go to constantly. I just wonder about, the wisdom of always switching people in and out like that.
Second down, here's the screen. Pass is complete to Steve Smith. And he's out to the 24-yard line. Of course, you're getting in a situation now, for example, where you have a San Diego, where they have 3 very good running backs, and everybody is banged up by injury. So perhaps from an injury standpoint, and that what you've seen with Seattle with their wide receivers is it's getting down to the fact that you need 3 great running backs. You need 2 outstanding quarterbacks to be able to have enough healthy bodies to get you all the way to the Super Bowl.
That part I would agree with.
Thank you.
But the one part that I have just a little bit of a disagreement with is that all the great backs say the same thing, which is what? They get better as the game goes on.
Need 20, 25 carries, get better as the game goes on.
So if you go with the 1 and 2 series, and then you're out for a quarter, come in for another series, you're out a quarter. I mean, I just don't understand how you can be effective.
And it is incomplete. Alexander Wright, the intended receiver. Brian Davis had the coverage.
At the end of this game, Charlie, Jay Schrader's numbers are going to look awful. And I hope that someone who is following this game points out the fact that there has been an inordinate number of drop passes. That's got to be going completely back to earlier. Of course, we've seen
Tim Brown in the end zone. It has to be more than half a dozen.
And look at his reaction. That says, come on, help me out, for goodness sakes.
No, he's looked good today. Yeah.
Well, the one that comes to mind is the throw to Tim Brown earlier, right on the money that he dropped in the end zone.
And here's the kick by Gossett, and Chris Warren with the fair catch. 35 yards on the punt. 9 minutes and 53 seconds. That is the time remaining in the ball game. The Raiders are up on the Seattle Seahawks by a score of 20-0. Jeff Jager with a pair of field goals of 47 and 43 yards, and then the touchdown pass to Horton, and then Eric Dickerson from a yard out. That has been the scoring in the ball game.
Sometimes when you're a special teams guy, you get a little bored. Watch number 43. He knows it's a fair catch. Watch Elvis Patterson try to bug him. Hey. Just in case he wants to be right there. Elvis Patterson, of course, very close to being the Pro Bowl special teams player last year. And in fact, if you talk to the Raider coaches, they'll make an argument that they should have had all the special teams players in there. Both their punter, kicker, Gossett, Jager, and kick returner Tim Brown were voted.
And John L. Williams, the line of scrimmage of 42. He's going to battle back to the 43-yard line. It goes for a gain of 1. It's second down and 9. As we move on the 9-minute and 30-second mark. Time remaining in the ballgame.
Chester McLaughlin now at right defensive end. Looking in now, he finally sees the screen pass, falls down, gets in the way. Actually, it's funny because he actually fell down. I think he had something in his eye, and John L. Williams ends up tripping over him. He'll get a tackle. And
it's hard to miss when he's falling down at that time. And here's Chris Warren.
Winston Moss and Ricky Ellison in on the tackle. The Raiders done an outstanding job against the run today, against an obviously outmanned Seattle team.
It'll be third down and 9 for the Seahawks. The ball still at their own 43-yard line. Tom Flores, the head coach of Seattle. You know what he said yesterday? He said, we need some big plays, and we don't have any big play receivers. Well, the closest they had was Lewis Clark, and he went out early in the ballgame.
Well, they really need to get Brian Blades back. And we said that within the next 2 weeks, more than likely he is going to come back.
And I think what they found out that, with blades out, there's too much coverage on the other side of the clock. Christensen's over the middle with a flag down. John L. Williams. Anthony Bell makes the tackle. We'll go back to the marker. It was 3rd down and 9. Seattle does not pick up the first down. The penalty is against the Raiders.
That'll be an automatic
first down.
What probably happened in the middle of the line, Charlie, is that John L. Williams, they set up for the screen, and one of the defensive linemen held him. It seemed in an inordinate amount of time when Stauffer tried to get that ball off.
Holding. Defense number 93. Penalty is accepted. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
On Greg Townsend, and the 5-yard penalty, as Todd pointed out, carries with it the automatic first down.
Watch number 93, Greg Townsend, more than likely trying to hook up with John L. Williams. He's going to come to the left of the screen. You can see John L. He starts to come out. Actually, it's on the other side of the field. What happened is that John L. Williams cut across in the back going the other direction. Chris Warren is probably the one that got held, and that's what the official saw. Inconsequential to the play, but a first down for the Seahawks nonetheless.
At their own 48-yard line. Stauffer throws.
Nice throw.
Yeah. And Ron Heller has the reception. Ricky Ellison was right on him, a gain of 12 yards on the play.
Cuts downfield and breaks off of Ellison. Just a simple out route. Ricky Ellison has him in man coverage. Stauffer puts it right. Nice throw right there. Slides in, makes the catch.
Hey, Stauffer's looked pretty good, hasn't he?
That was a nice flick of the wrist right there. Nice throw on the money.
At the Raider 40-yard line. A first down for the Seahawks. Just under 7.5 minutes. Time remaining in the ballgame.
Moral victory if they get a touchdown?
You bet.
Okay.
You bet. I think very important to get one.
I do too.
Stauffer to throw. Pressure from the backside. He gets it off. It's on target. Another good pass. This one to John L. Williams down the sideline.
Nice piece of running there by John L. too. Stauffer just inches from getting sacked, gets the ball off, and before he goes out of bounds, Williams able to cut back against the grain and get some extra yards. Watch how close Stauffer is to getting hit. Right from the backside. Here comes Townsend. He just barely gets the ball off. And watch the tightrope that John L. walks here right at the end. Oh, good job.
Skid marks.
Keeps his feet. Yeah. Skid marks.
Okay, 2nd and 2 at the 32-yard line. 6:43 and counting. Time remaining.
Come on, Greg. Come on now. Come on now. Don't give him no point.
And here's Chris Warren. What was that? Winston Moss that had a fistful of jersey? And he picks up the first down.
Assisted by Winston Moss. First and 10 Seahawks at the 22.
Delayed draw. Chris Warren, inside backer blitz. Winston Moss can't quite hold on to the jersey entirely, so with a little help from Lionel Washington, he's able to help him and double team Warren down, but not before he gets the first, the 22-yard line.
And he adds 10 more yards to his total. 68 yards rushing thus far in the ballgame for Chris Warren. And a first down at the Raider 22-yard line. 5:52 and counting time remaining. Stauffer throws. And when it's deflected, it's incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10 at the 22.
The few people that are in the end zone on that side are starting to chant a little bit, and you can hear the noise. They, too, like the players on the sidelines, do not want to see the Seahawks get in the end zone. Willie Broughton in the middle of the field gets his hand up and bats the pass down before he can get there. He's been playing a good game today.
Yeah. He really has.
He's the man that put Bob Golick to the bench.
2nd down and 10. The ball at the 22-yard line. 5:47 left to go. Here's the draw to John L. Williams, 20-yard line. Gain of a couple. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Lionel Washington with the tackle.
2 yards. 3rd and 8 from the 20.
Ray Roberts again on Greg Townsend. Drop play, pushes him to the outside, and that's right there. That forces John L. Williams. The farther outside he goes, that enables the pursuit of the Raiders to catch up, and Lionel Washington showing good run support. Now 3rd and long for the Seahawks.
And again, Sean Farrell is at left guard for John Hunter, who was injured. Grant Fiesel is at center for Joe Toffelmeyer, who was injured. Lewis Clark is out. Rob Thomas is out. Stan Gelba all out with injuries today. Moving on the 5-minute mark, time remaining. And we have a flag. We had a false start by the Seahawks. So rather than 3rd and 8, it's going to be 3rd down and 13.
False start, offense, 73. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
From the rookie Ray Roberts.
Trying to rock back, get a head start in his pass block versus Greg Townsend. Here he is rocking back. You can see, look at that. They could also have called him. Take a look at that left leg, how far back it is. We had a game earlier in the season where they're trying to be very strict with regards to keeping people on the line of scrimmage. But you see offensive tackles now in obvious passing situations. They start to do like the field goal flanks. They want to get back as far as they can, knowing they have to backpedal. See the left leg right there. Look how far back Roberts' left leg is.
But he's keeping his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. That's the key that the officials look for. Here's the pressure pass over the middle, and it is dropped. It is incomplete. John L. Williams couldn't pull it in. Ricky Ellison was there. It'll be 4th down. And a field goal team is coming in for the Seahawks.
Right here is that left leg sticking back, and what that is enabling him to do is to get back faster in the pass rush and cut off the angle of the pass rusher. Watch Greg Townsend. He knows that Townsend's going to get upfield. He just wants to push him away from the quarterback, and that's exactly what he does, enabling Stauffer to have the time to deliver.
And a 43-yard field goal attempt by John Casey. He missed right, going the other direction in the first half from 45 yards away. And this is good. So Casey hits from 43 yards away, and the Raiders now lead 20-3. We are looking down from the MetLife blimp that travels more than 60,000 miles a year to cover sporting events and television specials all around the United States. We got an onside kick coming up.
Very
it's a giveaway.
Everybody's on
one side. And it is there, and it is recovered at the 50-yard line.
That's a nice catch.
By the Raiders. It was that Napoleon McCallum, I believe. Or was it Tim Brown? Who was it? Had the hands team? No, it was Tim Brown, I guess, they got it.
That was a nice catch. It took the hop. They did it exactly as they were supposed to do. Time it out, but he got up there and made the catch. Trust me, this is not a fun team. Not a fun team to play on. I played on the hands team, and you know you're going to get hit. Everything has to focus on the ball. The idea here is watch, they take off and run. They want to get a running start. And watch when the ball takes the big hop up here. Nice job. If Napoleon McCallum touches that ball, as he almost did, then of course it ricochets and the Seahawks might get it. But he let it go. The idea is to let it go and let the people behind make the catch. And that's exactly what happened. Tim Brown, good job.
That is John Casey, who just split the uprights from 43 yards away to put the Seahawks on the board with their first 3 points of the ball game.
And one of the reasons for that, Charlie, is people might be saying, what's the point? It's 20-0. Why go out and get a field goal? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One is for the team's sake to not get shut out again. And the other thing is that he's a young kicker. This is only his 2nd year in the league. And after last week, he missed a 22-yarder. And today going 0 for 2, that did a lot for his confidence. I think that's something Tom Flores was thinking about.
We're moving on the 4-minute mark. Time remaining in the ballgame. Raiders 20 and the Seahawks 3. And the Raiders will have the ball at the 48-yard line of Seattle. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
One of the other things Stan Gelbach said of interest yesterday was that despite the record and despite the travails that they had, one of the things that he enjoys is that, you got to remember, I'm in the NFL.
Yes.
All right. You can talk all you want about, well, we're struggling and it's this and that, but, I'm a part of the National Football League. And I know that during my tenure there, I took great pride in the fact that, hey, there's only 1,260 guys in the rosters. You realize there's 3,500 brain surgeons? I mean, that's a pretty unique fraternity. Had a chance at halftime to talk with Tom Flores' wife, and I asked her, I said, so how's Tom's mental health? She says, oh, he's hanging in there. I said, he's all right. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Tom's back doing what he wants to do. He certainly could have stayed as the general manager and president and done what he wanted, but he confessed to us last night that he misses that battle, that excitement on Sunday.
Yeah, he misses Sunday.
It's clear that he does, yeah. And God.
There is a number that will.
Can I be speechless?
Yes.
What? Am I speechless here?
Yes. We'll save that. We'll save that tape for next week.
I told Uncle Alonzo to stay home, doggone it, but he didn't listen to me.
Schrader with a little play action fake. Pass complete to Andrew Glover, and the Raiders have a first down. Patrick Hunter with the tackle, a gain of 15 yards on the play.
Well, Jay Schrader able to find somebody that can catch the ball, and it happens to be a reserve tight end. Misdirection here. You can see Glover cutting across the field on the top of your screen. He gets lost in the linebacker mix. Nice hands there by Glover, 6'6", 230-pounder. Someone that they feel has a real future there, an excellent pass catcher and a tradition of pass-catching tight ends for the Raiders.
And the 2-minute warning will now be given to both pitches. The score, Raiders 20, Seahawks 3. We'll be back in just a moment. And the president of the Todd Christian fan club.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Charlie Jones Jr. coming to the game.
Yes,
thanks
nice
so much, Chuck.
That's terrible. We do want to thank Steve Sitcher, Ron Lux, our spotters, and Dennis Mnuchin, our statistician, with 2 minutes to go on a Sunday afternoon, and the Seagulls beginning to circle inside the Coliseum as well as on the field. There they are. And the Raiders well on their way to a record of 4-6. And they will be hosting the Denver Broncos here in the Coliseum next Sunday. And the Seahawks record will now be 1-9, and they will be hosting Kansas City in the Kingdom next Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Here is Nick Bell. And as he picks up a couple of yards, let's switch across the country to New York City and Bob Costas. Bob?
Charlie, down 20-7 at Candlestick Park. Steve Young hit Brent Jones twice in the fourth quarter for touchdowns, one a 14-yarder, this an 8-yarder with 46 seconds left. The extra point won at 21-20. San Francisco by a game over New Orleans in the NFC West, and they've got the tiebreaker because they have swept the Saints 2 straight this year.
Good news for 49er fans. Good ball game.
Yeah, it is, and they really needed to bounce back after the game against, the Monday night game against Atlanta. You know, they had a short week to prepare for a big game, and I think that everybody who has been casting dispersions over Steve Young better quit. The man is one of the best in the league.
He is excellent. He really is. And here is Nick Bell. He is going to be dropped for a loss of a couple of yards on the play, and now it's time for the Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game.
Watch the center fielder, i.e. free safety Eugene Robinson, extend himself completely to make this catch. What a tremendous catch by Eugene Robinson, who runs that back. That is our Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game.
And deservedly so.
He's actually played very well. Out of the interception, the tackle, the passes, defensed. He's the leader of that secondary.
And again, the Seattle Seahawks defense played very well, decimated on offense by injuries that we have documented today. And now the Raiders need only to kneel down,
lament,
and run out the clock.
I was going to say, it's the lament of the defensive coordinator, Charlie, that you can't win them if you can't score.
That's right. And we do have a flag on the play. And the clock is stopped with 23 seconds remaining, and here's the call.
False start on the center, illegal snap. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Illegal snap. Executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. John Francis is the coordinating producer. David Neal of USC fame produced our ball game here. Dick Klein of even greater fame was our director. Ray Benassi, our associate director. Amy Nick.
Bader.
Yes.
The Nickster.
Now
way to go.
Married lady. She was responsible for all the graphics and the nice look that we have as we take the final countdown. We'll be back in a moment with a final thought. The Raiders defeat the Seahawks by a score of 20-3. And the Raiders win 1 in a row with 6 to go.